Welcome back to the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Thank you guys for joining us for yet another live watch party as we watch Sunday Night Baseball. ESPN, of course, is carrying the game, so thank you guys on ESPN for carrying the game for us. But some of us like to watch watch the game with friends, make a party out of it, comment, shoot some trash talk back and forth. Let us know who you're betting on. We had one live stream a couple days ago where we had a couple of different people on different sides of it, so it was pretty entertaining for a little while anyway. But thank you again for joining us on a Sunday night, Independence Day weekend. Hope you guys had a lot of fun with your friends and family, able to spend some time with those that you love. And hopefully we continue to provide you with a good time here this evening. But we really appreciate you guys joining us. And without further ado, let's get it underway. The game itself is going to be the St. Louis Cardinals versus the Philadelphia Phillies. The Cardinals are going to go with Adam Wainwright, the veteran on the hill. For the Philadelphia Phillies, it's going to be Zach Wheeler. So the aces for both staff, at least in my opinion, are going to be starting the game for today. In commercial break as they get started anyway. But Philadelphia is going to be the home team. Zach Wheeler, a 2.89 ERA. Cardinals are going to start it off with Edman at shortstop. Donovan is your left fielder. Paul Goldschmidt, MVP candidate Paul Goldschmidt, put some respect on his name nowadays. Is third. He's hitting 346 so far this year. Nolan Arenado, everybody thought he was going to be the best player on this team. Hold on, not so fast. That's Paul Goldschmidt right now. Nolan Arenado still not too shabby anyway at 291 on the year. Fifth is going to be Gorman at second base. Yepes as the DH at sixth, in the sixth hole anyway. Dylan Carlson is going to be your center fielder. Capel is your right fielder. And no Yadi Molina. It's going to be Knitzner anyway. Nixner, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that game anyway. He's your catcher today. So that's kind of your lineup for the Cardinals. For the Phillies, they're going to go up against, as I mentioned, Adam Wainwright of the Cardinals. They're going to lead it off with Kyle Schwarber. He seems solidified in there at that number one spot. Rhys Hoskins is your first baseman in the two-hole. Nick Castellanos, with no Bryce Harper in there due to injury again, is going to be your first baseman, Rhys Hoskins. Nick Castellanos is your third place hitter, right fielder. Hall is your DH. Real Muto is your catcher, batting fifth. Alec Boehm at third base. Odubel Herrera in center, hitting seventh. Stott at shortstop. No Didi Gregorius today, and Munoz is your second baseman. Still waiting for him to get underway anyway, but one other thing we wanted to discuss during this live stream is going to be all the transactions that have happened over the last couple of days in the NBA. It seems like in the evening is when things happen as far as transactions go. Independence Day weekend, I'm sure a lot of teams and free agents and trade chatter is going to be dying down over this Independence Day weekend. But every now and again, you get a little bit of a surprise. Most of the news on the free agent side has already been decided. James Harden's probably the biggest free agent still out there, along with Miles Bridges. But we already know Miles Bridges' situation. He's facing felony domestic violence charges anyway, stemming from an altercation that he had with his wife. There was medical attention required. She posted pictures to Instagram and has since been interviewed by both police and media members since. Seems like the charges are pretty legit, but we're going to have to see how it plays out in the legal field first before we can worry about anything with his free agent situation. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to still accept that qualifying offer from the Charlotte Hornets, or if the Charlotte Hornets are just going to go ahead and pull that offer entirely. He was once thought of as getting a max contract this offseason. Doesn't appear like that's going to be anywhere near a possibility right now. The other top free agent, of course, is going to be James Harden. He is fully expected to go back to the Philadelphia 76ers. This is more about determining what type of contract they want to go with, but he's going to be staying in Philadelphia. On the trade front, the biggest news in the free agency, or during the offseason window anyway, for the NBA is going to be Kevin Durant. He's going to command the biggest trade that there has ever been in the NBA, and rightfully so. He's still on the back end of his prime, so he should command a hefty price. The rumors out there is that the Brooklyn Nets want more than what the Lakers gave up to get Anthony Davis. They want more than what the Rockets got to get James Harden. So it'll be interesting to see what they ultimately end up getting. The package that the Minnesota Timberwolves sent to Utah for Rudy Gobert of multiple first-round picks, 5 picks essentially going to the Utah Jazz. Unprotected picks were 3 of them anyway. Fourth was a pick swap, unprotected as well. First-round pick from last year, a first-round pick from this year's draft, in addition to a couple of good role players that can actually play minutes for them, as well as a young power forward in Vanderbilt. That's the kind of package that was refuted by the Brooklyn Nets in order to get Kevin Durant to Minnesota. Apparently, they wanted either Anthony Edwards or Karl Anthony Towns. So if your favorite team is interested in going after Kevin Durant, or if you want them to go after Kevin Durant, which superstar on your team are you willing to get rid of? Which young, great player are you willing to get rid of? That's where you need to start that conversation before you really consider, should we even toss our hat in the ring, or are we really just wasting our time? Looks like we're about to get underway. Zach Wheeler digs in. He's 0-3 in his first 3 starts with an 8.53 ERA, 18% strikeout rate. In his last 11 starts, 6-1 with a 1.84, a lot more like the Cy Young candidate we saw last year, with a 31% strikeout rate through the last 11 anyway. Getting in his last few warm-up tosses right now. Like I said, appreciate you guys joining us on a Sunday night. Hopefully y'all had fun out at the lake, spending time with your kids. Family is important, especially around the holidays. And for those of you who took the time off and just used it to relax, good on you as well. However you choose to celebrate your independence and enjoy your freedoms, do so. Looks like he's just got a couple more warm-up pitches here. Shadows descending on the field anyway. Other news around the NBA, of course, is with Kevin Durant requesting a trade. The GM and management team there, of course, has said they won't be held hostage by the trade demand. Come on. Who are you kidding? This trade is going to happen. There was Shams report out there earlier today anyway that said that he was going to be traded within the next couple of weeks and that Kyrie would be right behind him. Don't expect it to happen within the next 24 hours, though. Holiday weekend and all that. Teams are, of course, trying to spend time with their families as well. So kind of keep that in mind as far as trade chatter. You might have to wait till the end of this week or maybe the beginning of next week to kind of resolve this situation. But as I was mentioning, Kyrie Irving is also going to be traded by the Brooklyn Nets. 6 teams were on his list of preferred destinations, but there seems to be only real 2 options and maybe a third, depending on who you believe. First pitch, 98-mile-an-hour fastball. On the outside corner, call the strike there. Tommy Edman, 270 hitter, 7 home runs, 32 RBIs on the year. Edman fouls that pitch off, another 98-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside corner that time. Wheeler trying to locate both of his corners early. And the pitch. Strike 3, 99 miles an hour, climbed the ladder on him, and he wasn't able to catch up to that one. 3-pitch strikeout, and again, Zach Wheeler does what Zach Wheeler does, strike out the opposing hitter. A lot of star-spangled gear on for the major league players today anyway. Real Muto has on a star-spangled chest protector, catcher's gear anyway. Phillies have a star-spangled theme on their hats as well today. Most of Major League Baseball is doing some type of Independence-themed attire this weekend. Another great fastball there. Brendan Donovan, the left fielder today, a 140 OPS plus. MLB average, in case you're wondering, 100. He's been epic so far for the St. Louis Cardinals, who always seem to have that young pipeline of outfielders. Never seem to be short of an outfielder. No matter how much everybody says, oh, yeah, I need to go out and get a proven veteran, their youth always seems to come through, and it is so far yet again this season. Goldschmidt, again, the NL favorite for MVP, is in the on-deck circle. Bear with us for just a moment as the coverage seemed to have dropped off anyway. And a single by Brendan Donovan to center field. Nice line drive hit there. Goldschmidt digs in and takes ball 1. He has over 1,000 OPS so far this year. 19 home runs, giving everything that the Cardinals could ever have hoped for and then some. Goldschmidt grounds out to the pitcher, Zach Wheeler, and moves Donovan over to second. 2 away now for Nolan Arenado. Off the back heel of Zach Wheeler, Wheeler able to get off the mound and make the play. I like the fact that the ESPN now has dueling broadcasts, the normal broadcast, and then they have a K-Rod broadcast where A-Rod kind of does like a Manning-style broadcast of Sunday Night Baseball. Get into some interesting conversations that way. More conversational style like this is. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're rooting for, or if you're just enjoying the game because it's Independence Day and baseball is about as American as it gets. Of course, the rest of the world is now starting to play the game at a more competitive level anyway. Game has definitely taken off. Central America, Asia, even in Israel, it's taken off as well. In case you might not have heard, Ian Kinsler, the former second baseman for the Rangers and Tigers, is going to be the manager for Team Israel in World Baseball Classic. Just off the plate there as Wheeler misses. 2-1 the count. He is dancing all around that zone, though, trying to locate those edges here early. The pitch. Jammed him. A good 6 inches off the plate, and Arenado still swung at it, mad at himself for chasing that one. 2-2. As Philadelphia starts to get behind Zach Wheeler, hoping to get out of the first without a run crossing the home plate. The set and the pitch. Up again, Wheeler trying to entice another chase there from Arenado. He does not bite. It's now 3-2. Climbs the ladder again, but this time finds the zone with it. Arenado able to foul it back. Made some solid contact there. Oh, and a surprise move in NBA free agency. Goran Dragic has decided to go to the Chicago Bulls and not the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks have played with their food over and over and over again with Goran Dragic. We saw it when he signed the 2-year, $40 million deal with Miami. That player option he opted into because, of course, it was $20 million, and that allowed the other Mavericks target, Kyle Lowry, in the following offseason to allow to be sign and trade from Toronto. Oh, nice contact there by Arenado as he flies it out to medium center field, though. Herrera is there and makes the catch. But you can say the Mavericks have really kind of bungled the whole Goran Dragic situation. He's never played a game for Dallas, but he certainly has impacted their free agency decisions in 3 straight years now. They lost his services in the 2 years ago when they tried to sign him, and Miami just was willing to spend a lot more money just to kind of keep him around since they didn't have a point guard yet. Then, of course, they lost out on Kyle Lowry because of the sign and trade with Miami again. This offseason, or during this season anyway, they decided not to bring him in because they had too many point guards on their staff or on their roster at the moment after making the trade for Dinwiddie. Now, after losing Jalen Brunson and spending their money on JaVale McGee, they decided to hold off and have an open roster spot to add a wing and have him come on later on, again leaving him out in the cold and playing with their food. Goran Dragic looks like he's said, enough, I'm done waiting, and wanted to play for a good team. And he decided to go to the Chicago Bulls and give them some depth there. Good move by Chicago. I still don't believe they're going to be anything more than a first-round exit in the postseason next year, but a good move for them. They still need more depth. They still need more firepower, in my opinion. They pretty much maxed out where this lineup is going to go, even though they've only played together for 1 year. I don't think they're going to get too much better than what they already are. They have their limitations both offensively and defensively. DeRozan, while he was able to improve his shot from 3 last year, had some game-winning shots at the buzzer last year as well. LaVine kind of stepped forward as an all-star in addition to that. Vucevic, after a tough beginning to the season, rebounded nicely towards the end of the season. The guard play of Lonzo Ball was better than I expected, and Alec Caruso. They still have Kobe White there, and now Goran Dragic. Their guard play should be very good, but I still don't see where they're going to be better than the Bostons, the Milwaukees, the Philadelphias of the world. And Philadelphia, don't get me wrong, they are not exactly the prettiest team right now, but they have Joel Embiid. That's better than anything the Chicago Bulls have, and they're going to be suffering from a lack of able to contend with him down low. Andre Drummond, the signing that the Chicago Bulls just had, please, he's not even close to being able to compete with Joel Embiid, but who is? Joel Embiid eats him up for lunch. Adam Wainwright on the hill, 6-5 on the year, 3.07 ERA, 125 walks per hit whip anyway. 91 innings on the year, 76 strikeouts, 26 walks. Pitches a little bit more to contact than he did in his younger days. You'll remember he was a starter, closer, starter. He does alternate sometimes based on his injury and what the team needs, but he's been everything for the St. Louis Cardinals ever since he came up. He kind of took over the role of Chris Carpenter as kind of the head of that rotation years ago. Cardinals are always developing talent over and over and over again. A heavy shift on right now for the Cardinals as Schwarber is in the box, 1-1. That one's off the plate. Curveball misses, 84 miles an hour inside. Just to kind of wrap up the thoughts on Goran Dragic, he is older. He's not exactly the fastest point guard anymore, but he still offers great veteran leadership, good ball handling, probably good for 15, 20 minutes a night now. The days of him playing 30 minutes, 35 minutes a night are long gone. But on a 2-year contract, something like that makes a lot of sense. And the Bulls were willing to make the offer that he couldn't refuse. And Dallas, again, after being long thought of as the favorites to sign Goran Dragic for not 1, not 2, but 3 off seasons in a row, they do not get him in any one of those years. As a Maverick fan, that kind of hurts. Nice curveball there, bends in, and it's now 3-2. Schwarber hitting 218 on the year. Beautiful curveball, just kind of buckled Schwarber. Just how you draw up a curveball when you're in Little League. Exactly the shape I want on it, and that's exactly where I want it to finish, and I want the hitter to be completely mystified. Fastball right at the top of the zone. Schwarber pops it up right over first base. Into foul ground now comes Goldschmidt. Over the shoulder, one-handed catch, and makes it. Still don't understand why this is the professionals, and they still feel like they need to do the hot dogging thing of a one-handed catch. Goldschmidt takes a deep breath. You wouldn't have had to take a deep breath if you had 2 hands on it, buddy. That's why they give you a glove, and then you trap the ball in there after it gets in there. You don't want it popping out of your glove afterward. Who coaches this team? No. Nah. Major League Baseball draft is coming up pretty soon for those of you interested in something like that. Those of you who remember a player named Andrew Jones from the Atlanta Braves and later on with the Texas Rangers and New York Yankees, he played kind of two different careers with the Braves. He was the center fielder, one of the best defensive center fielders the game has ever seen. He's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame just on his defense alone. His bat, of course, came around in later years as he was more of a power hitter later on in his career. Put on a lot of weight, a lot of muscle as he aged a little bit, as he lost the wheels. Drew Jones is his son, and he's long been projected as the best player in this draft. But as we've seen in previous years, it's not always about the best talent or what position you play. What a beautiful pitch there by Wainwright. Absolutely buckling Hoskins. A nice curveball drops right in the middle of the zone. Hoskins just has a few words for the umpire. I don't know what he's complaining about, but that was just perfect. The curveball is working for Wainwright. It is hanging up a little bit higher than I think he would like. So if you're looking for the curveball, you can take advantage of it. If you're waiting for that fastball, he's commanding that one a little bit better. But back on the draft anyway, Drew Jones has long been projected as the #1 pick as far as talent. Now, of course, teams are willing to move around money and that kind of thing to try to be able to spend a little bit more money on their second and third round picks because you do get a draft pool to put towards those players. And if you can get one player to agree to a little bit less than slot value, say at that #1 or #2 pick, then you can put that extra money towards players later on in the draft who might otherwise turn down that contract and decide to opt for the college route. Castellanos grounds it right over second base, right into the fielder's arms there, on to first, and the side is retired. 1-2-3 inning, only 11 pitches for Wainwright, as they now do the inspection of your hands, make sure there's no goop on them or anything. And looks like he passes inspection. Now, whether or not you think that's baseball funny stuff nowadays, it's just where we're at. The game is constantly going to need to evolve. It hasn't really evolved too much over the past 30 years. They've kept everything very much the same. Just the way we play is changing. Remember, just a couple of years ago, it was just all about the 3 true outcomes: strikeout, walk, and home run. Nowadays, with the batter's eye inclusion in center field, the changes to the ball, the experimental bases that they're running in the minor leagues, with the pitch clock that they're working out with robo-umps, they're working on ways to make the game more fan-friendly and allow there to be more action during the game, so that you don't have to be worried about long commercial breaks like this for no reason. Say pitching changes a couple years ago, you had to face 3 batters in the lineup and not just be face one batter, come out, face another batter, come out, that kind of thing. Tony La Russa special, essentially, who, by the way, is still coaching in the league. He's now the coach of the Chicago White Sox. He's had his foibles this year, struggles, even had chance for him to be fired from the White Sox faithful, but so far no such move has been made. Wimbledon news, it looks like Venus Williams was eliminated today. No Roger Federer, so a lot of the star power is gone from Wimbledon. Zach Wheeler going to come out here for his second inning of work. Another free agency news out of the NBA. The Dallas Mavericks have decided to guarantee the contract of Frank Ntilikina, another bench piece guard player for them. Maxi Kleber is the one with the $9 million on their $9 billion tag on their roster that they got a guarantee as well. He's on a non-guaranteed deal. Shot about 40% from 3 in the playoffs after shooting a terrible percentage in the second half of the season. But his defense is really good for them. He should have his contract guaranteed as well. Only free agency move of the day besides Goran Dragic was the Cody Martin signing by the Hornets, deciding to stay there. 4 years, $32 million for them. Gorman is in. Strike one to him. Just off the plate there with a second pitch. Up and in. 1-1 is the count. Wheeler set and working quickly now. Right down Broadway. Gorman unable to catch up to that one. Wheeler likes to elevate that fastball today as his strikeout pitch. Gorman able to foul it off, though, hitting 256 on the year. 1-2 now the count to the 5-hole hitter. Beautiful pitch. Looks like a changeup that time. 92 miles an hour, right at the knees. Swing and a miss. Gorman tried to slow his swing down enough and slowed it down a little too much. Wasn't able to make anything happen. Looks like they're talking with Kyle Schwarber out in the outfield. You can see the earwig in his ear. You can kind of see, if you're watching the telecast anyway, how he's got a little card in his back pocket telling him where he needs to position based on who's up at the plate. Yepez is up right now. Grounds it foul, 98-mile-an-hour fastball. He's working a lot with that fastball here early. First time through the order, you'd expect something like that and then work in a little bit more of your off speed. Yepez has a 137 OPS plus. Major League average 100. Again, more great production from young players for the Cardinals. Another tapper foul off Real Muto, and it's now 0-2. News out of hockey world, of course, a lot of coaching changes. Rick Bowness has now been named head coach of the Winnipeg Jets. He was the coach last year for the Dallas Stars. Some argument as to whether or not that was a fair ball when Yepez made contact with it. It did seem like it was going to be rolling fair, and it came up and hit his hand. So I don't know if that should be counted as an out or what the ruling would normally be, but it's 0-2 either way. Able to lay off the really big slider there in the other batter's box. 1-2 now the count. Thank all you guys for joining us. Got a nice group with us tonight, up to 14 now. Let us know where you're watching from. Hope you're enjoying your 4th of July weekend with your family, friends, enjoying your independence however you see fit. Nothing more American than watching baseball on a Sunday night. Baseball and apple pie, as they say. Scores from around the league anyway. Yankees lost 2-0 to the Guardians. First time they've actually shut out the Yankees in 15 years, it looks like. We did a live stream earlier today of the Royals and Tigers game. Very entertaining from what I was expecting. Yepez again able to foul that one back. Tigers tried to make it a game late, but were unable to come all the way back. 9 strikeouts for Singer, tying a career high. Marlins beat the Nationals in 10 innings, 7-4. Miami is 11-1 versus Washington this season. Definitely dominating that matchup. Yepez again jammed, slow roller to short. And is still able to make a nice strong throw over to Hoskins and beats him by a step or two. I thought it was going to be closer, but not so much. Yepez does not move swiftly down the line. Any faster of a runner, and he's easily safe. Brewers beat the Pirates 2-0. Pirates did have their opportunity, though, as Brian Reynolds, the all-star center fielder for the Pirates, flied out with the bases loaded to end the game. The Rays beat the Blue Jays 7-3. Home run in the game for Choi. Rosarena and Ramirez both had 2-run home runs for the Rays. One thing the Blue Jays have had no problem with is hitting the ball. However, they haven't got the pitching to back it up. Today, Shane Baz for the Rays ate them up anyway, scattering 7 hits. Just not able to get the pitching and the hitting on the same page. Braves lost on a walk-off single to the Reds today. Almora Jr. was the man to do the work. You might remember him from the Chicago Cubs. Carlson is in there and is is now ahead 2-1, as Wheeler is unable to find the zone with that one. Charlie Morton pitched 7 innings of scoreless baseball, had a no-hit bid broken up in the 7th inning. Carlson unable to catch up to that fastball, 97 miles an hour on the outside corner. 2-2. Texas Rangers lost 1-4 to the New York Mets. Jonah Heim scored the only run for the Rangers on a solo home run. Starling Marte hit a home run for the Mets. Carrasco went 5 2/3, 6 hits, 1 earned, and a walk. Escobar did hit a 2-run homer in that game, his 3rd straight game with a home run. Astros did beat the Angels on a walk-off 2-run home run by Pena. He is the man who took over for Carlos Correa at short. 6th straight win for Houston. Valdez, 6 innings, had a career-high 13 strikeouts in the game for the Astros. Angels struck out 20 times, tied an MLB record for strikeouts in a 9-inning game. Numbers that are not good for the Angels. Surprisingly, the Angels' pitching has been much better this year. Trout, unfortunately, went 0 for 4. He has 9 strikeouts in his last 3 games. A little bit of a slump for him. Orioles snap a 12-game losing streak versus the Twins. They beat the Twins 3-1. Mancini and Odor hit home runs for the Orioles. Mountcastle as well. All 3 runs coming via the long ball. Red Sox beat the Cubs in 11, 4-2, due to a throwing error in the 11th inning. Ouch. That hurts if you're a Cubs fan. Xander Bogaerts did leave the game. He was injured on a caught stealing in the 7th. For those of us, since I'm Texas-based anyway, if you're a Rangers fan, Patrick Wisdom has become a little bit more of a consistent, everyday player for the Chicago Cubs. He hit another home run for the Cubs today. If you're a Cardinals fan, he came over from the Cardinals at one point as well. White Sox 13, Giants 4. Giolito went 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts, and a couple of walks. Capel digs in. Runner on first. 1-0 the count. Fastball off the end of the bat. Capel was able to get his hands inside, but a little too far, and Schwarber makes the play. No real damage done there. Game is in Philadelphia, so you can expect the customary shot of the Liberty Bell. Mariners beat the Athletics 2-1. Elvis Andrus actually hit a home run, his 5th of the season. San Diego Padres beat the Dodgers 4-2. Mackenzie Gore finally stabilizing himself after having a couple of rough outings the past couple of times out. 5 2/3 innings for him. Hosmer continues his hot start to the season. He went 2 for 4 in the game. Kershaw for the Dodgers went 7 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, and 8 strikeouts. Looks like the bullpen might have cost him the win. Mookie Betts went 2 for 3, and Trey Turner 3 for 4. Dodgers have not been afraid over recent years to make that big-time acquisition. Trey Turner, of course, was brought in along with Max Scherzer last season for a couple of the Dodgers' top prospects, Josiah Gray and Keibert Ruiz. Ruiz is playing catcher every day for the Nationals, and Josiah Gray is a starter in that rotation. They're giving you some numbers during the commercial break of the defense for the Cardinals. Second base and third base, they rank as the top position, or they have the best position players at those spots in the league. Alec Boehm is 4th in the league as far as barreling up baseballs. But thank you guys for joining us again. Just going to check and see if there's any other headlines that have happened recently. Bunch of two-way contracts in the NBA being signed today. If you don't know what a two-way contract is, basically allows more of a development side of the game, allows them to transport between the G League and the NBA to try to improve their roster a little bit more. Instead of just having the standard 15 and saying if you're on the end of the bench, you're not going to get any playing time. It allows those type of developmental players to be able to play minutes in meaningful games in the G League instead of just being stuck on the end of the bench and never playing a game. A lot of those type of players are now being signed, as most of the top level free agents have been picked through. Wainwright back out there. And, gets a nice strike call there. A very beneficial call for him on that one. 0-1 the count now. Hall is your hitter, hitting .214 on the year. Definitely looks like he has the strength to knock the cover off the baseball. .214 average, however, his OPS 1,000. So you can kind of understand why Philadelphia is putting him in that spot, as opposed to maybe other players with a higher batting average. Speaking of that MLB draft coming up in about a week or so, or a couple weeks anyway, there's a lot of rumors as far as what the top pick is going to be for the Orioles. Are they going to save money and let Drew Jones, by far the best prospect in the game, go buy them? And then are the Diamondbacks going to end up taking him? It doesn't seem like he's going to fall past number 3. So that's kind of the intrigue around the MLB draft. Another strikeout there by Wainwright. Beautiful painted the corner on that one as Hall goes down looking. 1 away. Wainwright moving fast. At this age in his career, he kind of knows what he wants to do. He's more leading this conversation as opposed to the catcher. Now, if Yachty was back there, he'd probably let Yachty call the game. But beautiful pitch there. If you're Hall, anything close, you got to swing at, and he didn't get the bat off his shoulder. Ball well outside on that one to Realmuto. Realmuto having a down year offensively, but still plays almost every day, which is unheard of behind the plate nowadays for a catcher. His defense is still top-notch. Realmuto lines one directly at Gorman. And that's the second out. All-Star break coming up pretty soon for Major League Baseball. Home Run Derby, I believe, is going to be on the 18th of July. Aaron Judge has already bowed out of that one. So as much as you would have liked to see Aaron Judge knock the cover off the ball, he says, I've already done it once. Thank you very much. Rob Thompson, of course, is your interim manager for the Phillies right now after they fired Joe Girardi. The thing is, after they fired him, they actually performed a lot better, went on a nice little winning streak, and they've actually climbed above 500 now. Alec Boehm did get in that 6th hole. They took a little bit of pressure off of him this year by signing as many free agents as they did. However, Bryce Harper is no longer in there. Wimbledon news, Novak Djokovic moved on to the quarterfinals, one of the few top names still left in the Wimbledon tournament. Another curveball misses by a mile for Wainwright. He had that pitch working in the first. Doesn't look like he has the same location with it this inning. Boehm hitting .265. Fast. Oh, wow. What a generous call there by the home plate umpire. That pitch was a good 3 inches off the plate. Boehm is correct and kind of taking a minute and just having a few words for the umpire there. That was an I'm a veteran and I'm going to give you this pitch call. 2-2 now the count. That was low and in and off the plate by about that much. Yet another argument for the robo-ump, as much as some of you are against having more of the human element taken out of the game. Boehm rolls over it to the shortstop, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. Yet another 1-2-3 inning for Wainwright. He's pitched well so far. Looks like it's a 1-year deal, by the way, for Goran Dragic to the Bulls. He's expecting somewhere in that 1 to 2 year range. He doesn't have long left to play in his career. For those of you wondering why I'm going over Goran Dragic so much anyway in the today anyways, because I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, and 3 straight years they've bungled the acquisition of Goran Dragic. First, they were unable to sign him because Miami is willing to give him a lot more money and give him a player option on that second year for $20 million. Of course, you would opt in. And then the free agent that they were going to go after that offseason was Kyle Lowry. They lost out only because the Miami Heat were willing to trade or have the chip in Goran Dragic's contract to trade to the Toronto Raptors. And then after a deadline deal sent him to San Antonio, he was bought out. Dallas made the deal for Porzingis to get Dinwiddie, and they had 3 ball handlers now. And so they said no thanks, and so he went on to Brooklyn. This offseason, Jalen Brunson has agreed to go to the New York Knicks, leaving them with only 2 high-level ball handlers on the team. They said, hold on, we still have an open roster spot, but we want to get a wing in here first. So instead of signing him when they have the chance, Goran Dragic says, I'm not waiting around for this, and decides instead to go to the Chicago Bulls. If you're a Mavericks fan, that's got to be very disappointing. They've played with their food way too much with Goran Dragic. Do I think he would have been the difference between making it to the NBA Finals last year? No, I don't. But I do think this the ability of Goran Dragic to step in as that third ball handler, if they're unable to make a trade for a guy like Kyrie Irving, he certainly would have helped. But we'll see what they have up their sleeve. It seems like they want to keep a roster spot open and see what ends up happening in free agency with trades, see if somebody comes on the market that they weren't expecting. But we've done this wait-and-see game with the Mavericks before, and it hasn't worked out. To the top of the third we go. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for the Cardinals. No runs, no hits, no errors for the Phillies. As we were waiting for the catcher Knizner to get in there. Knizner, I don't know. Knizner, maybe Knizner. Bob Costa's joining the telecast for ESPN2 anyway. He did some of the baseball broadcasts for the MLB network over the years. Long been a baseball guy. Y'all may have seen his interview with Curt Schilling this offseason discussing whether or not he wanted to be included on the ballot and all that kind of thing due to his controversial comments, we'll say, both politically and about race and about all kinds of different things. Those comments seem to affect some voters, and that ultimately caused him to lose some, what would have been a surefire Hall of Fame career was affected by those comments that he made. Whether or not they should have been or not, they were. And he ultimately decided, hey, take me off the ballot. Of course, only the writers could have taken him off the ballot by not voting for him. 50-some% voted for him in his final year after being very close the previous 2 years and not being able to get over that point. But he probably gets in on a veteran committee at some point. Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds are going to have a harder road, as they're still going to need that veteran committee to vote in them. And based on what they did on the field, some players have said that they're okay with it just because it's part of the history of the game. Some players have said they're not. You guys let me know. Do you think Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens should be a part of the Hall of Fame? They're a big part of history. They're a big part of what the game has changed, or how the game has changed. The different responsibilities MLB now has as far as protecting the game on the field and players' ability to police themselves. Old school baseball meets new school baseball, if you will. Dave Dombrowski, kind of the embodiment of that now with the Philadelphia Phillies. Kind of an all or nothing kind of approach to operating a team. Unwilling to really use young players and that kind of a thing. Always wants to go for the veteran and go for that championship. And then when you finally exhausted that window, leave that organization and move on to the next and leave it to somebody else to clean up the minor league system. But it's all about winning titles, and if you win a title, it's worth it. If you don't, it's not. Dombrowski's one of the best at finally getting over the hump and getting that title, though, and that's why the Phillies brought him in. After yet again another young guy was able to build up their farm system and get them all those top young prospects to be able to turn into players. Not that all of them work out. Mark Appel, of course, just made his major league debut the other day. Mickey Moniak was the #1 pick. He hasn't really taken the league by storm by any stretch. If anything, he's a fourth outfielder at best on this team. Honestly, he's probably a 4A baseball player at this point. For those of you who don't know what a 4A baseball player is, it means somebody who's really good in minor league baseball, probably deserves to be in the show, but when they're called up to the show, can't hit, can't perform, that kind of thing. That's a 4A baseball player. Tommy Edman back up there. Takes ball one. 736 OPS, did strike out, leading off the game. Y'all tell me, do you think Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds deserve a shot to be in the Hall of Fame? For me, Roger Clemens is the more interesting case between the two as far as whether or not he's eligible or should be considered for that type of honor. Barry Bonds, before people claim he used steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, people considered him to be an all-time great player already. Now, whether or not that was good enough to really get the job done, that remains to be seen. It's not about how you perform over a period of 7 years. It's about how your entire career goes. And for baseball purists like Bob Costas, they will never really vote for a player like Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens to ever get into the Hall of Fame. Sorry about that. Over the last couple days of doing streaming anyway, I've noticed some spam finally coming in here. Guess what it means? We're finally getting somewhere with it, with our live streams. We appreciate all of you viewers. Eventually, we may even have to get a moderator who can handle that kind of a thing. But as it stands right now, I can handle it with just 12, 15 of y'all in there. Edman lines it up the middle, grounds it, or I should say grounds it up the middle anyway, but beats the throw to first. Very nice. Shortstop not able to get the throw off and get the out recorded. Edman able to hustle down the line. Another Cardinal getting on base. Nice diving stop, though, by Scott. Tried to get enough mustard on it, but Edman does just indeed beat it out. Looking at that replay over and over and over again, he definitely beat the throw. For Roger Clemens, the argument would be his entire career really took off after he joined the Yankees and he won some championships. You can argue that with the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays anyway, that he was still a really good pitcher, but he wasn't nearly the Rocket that he was with the Yankees or the Astros. Those years are what really kind of pushed his case over the hurdle. Strikeouts were the thing with the Rocket. But is it enough to be Hall of Fame worthy? I don't know. For me, I'm in the camp that Barry Bonds probably would have had an excellent career, but you still have to include character and that kind of a thing. Bob Costas would be the first one to tell you, hey, the character clause is real, as Edman was trying to dance off of first base and able to get back safely. Wheeler again tossing over to first. Looks like the Cardinals are trying to get his time down on his delivery over to first base more than anything else. Doesn't look like they're actually trying to steal a base, though. Brendan Donovan 1 for 1 in the game so far, a .301 batting average, 2 home runs, and 26 RBIs. Beautiful pitch there by Wheeler, but does not get the call as he missed the location with it. Real Muto is not able to frame it well enough to get the strike call, and it's 1-0 to Brendan Donovan. On deck, of course, we've mentioned already the MVP candidate in Paul Goldschmidt. Some news out of the Dodgers. Austin Barnes, the catcher, agrees to a 2-year extension with the Dodgers that runs through 2024. He would have been a free agent at season's end. Jacob deGrom has struck out 5 in a rehab start. He only went 2 innings. He did hit a batter in Class A. Fly ball there by Donovan to center field, and the out is recorded. 2 away now for Paul Goldschmidt. Kyle Schwarber leads all of the National League in barrel rate at 21%. Again, they're kind of cycling through some of the numbers of the game. For those of you who are wondering what that means they hit it on the barrel 21% of the time. That's fantastic. You can imagine that batting average is probably going to go up if he keeps barreling up balls like that. Really? Irving and Seth Curry were traded to the Lakers? That would be very interesting. I don't see a headline on it yet, anyway. Take your word on it for now. But for my money, Seth Curry is one of the best contracts in all of basketball. Not much of a defender, but a very good scorer. Definitely provides you the offense that you need at the 2 position. He'll be a great fit around LeBron James if that is indeed the deal. You'd have to imagine there's got to be more than a 1 pick going back to the Brooklyn Nets after they just traded away a pick to get Royce O'Neal. It's probably going to be Westbrook and probably a couple of unprotected firsts, if I had to guess, going the other direction. Kyrie Irving, if I had to guess, is probably going to sign a massive extension if that is the case. Because I don't imagine, or the package that they had originally on the deal before the Kyrie made his decision to opt in was 1 unprotected pick and Russell Westbrook. And at that time, that wasn't enough to get it done. So we'll see what ends up happening there. 1-2 now, the count to Goldschmidt. Another throw over to first as Edmund draws the throw. Thank you guys for joining us on Independence Weekend. Hope you guys had fun with your families, got to enjoy your Independence Day, go out to the lake, barbecue, grill, whatever the case may be. Hopefully you're getting to sit back and enjoy a little bit more of that independence. Nothing says America like apple pie, baseball. Very few things in this world are more American than that. For those of us watching around the world, it's just another day for y'all, but for us in America, it was very meaningful a little over 200 years ago to form this nation, and it definitely has changed the world ever since. Goldschmidt flies that one to deep right field on the track. Castellanos is underneath it, tracks it in the wind a little bit more, and makes the catch. Great job by Castellanos making the play there. With Independence Day coming up, of course, Nathan's hot dog eating contest is coming up. Looks like they're going to interview Joey Chestnut. For those of you who don't know who that is, he's won that contest probably more times than anybody else. His time of year. See if we can check up on that news. Had a lot of y'all say that different moves have happened in the chat over the last couple days, and as much as I would like to see some of these moves happen, it just hadn't happened yet. Nope, doesn't look like I see anything there. So for right now, it still looks like Kyrie Irving is staying in Brooklyn at the moment. He will not be there at the start of the season, I guarantee you. There are 3 teams in the running for him. Mentioned those a little bit earlier as well. The LA Lakers, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Philadelphia 76ers. We saw how the Harden-Irving team-up worked in Brooklyn. They struggled to kind of find that same chemistry. However, they are both great ball handlers, so you can kind of understand why Philadelphia might be interested in doing something like that. For those of you who are Phillies fans, maybe you're a 76ers fan as well. Maybe you get rid of Tobias Harris and bring in Kyrie Irving. Would you prefer that kind of a 3-headed monster, Irving, Harden, and Embiid, versus the lineup of Harris, Embiid, and Harden? Yep. Joey Chestnut, as I figured, has 14 career victories in the nation's hot dog eating contest, world record, of course. For those of you who think it is gross, yeah, it's definitely gross. It's not something that you want to, have a wine and dine to. It's not that type of event, but it's something for the family to enjoy. Kids enjoy that kind of thing as well. Who hasn't at one point or another had some type of an eating contest? How fast can they chug a beer? Those type of contests with friends or family. And on the 4th of July, seems like the one day where a contest like that deserves to have a home. Ball one there by Wainwright. Changeup or a really slow fastball on that one, just off the plate. Looks like Roger Federer has said he wants to play in one more Wimbledon. So hopefully, if you're a tennis fan, pay attention to next year's Wimbledon, because that'll probably be the last time we see one of the greatest player, if not the greatest player, in tennis history. Speaking of all these older veteran players that we've been talking about for both MLB and the NBA, Albert Pujols is one of the bench bats for the St. Louis Cardinals this year. He needs 21 home runs this year in order to break 600. I believe that's the biggest reason why he's hoping to get more playing time and be able to cross that threshold. Still nothing on that Kyrie Irving news. I don't think that's legit news, unfortunately. If you do have legit news on that one, Iverson, send us the link. We'd appreciate it. Or at least tell us where you heard it from. If it was Shams or Woj, I'll believe you. If it's from Irving to LA, some handle like that at Twitter, something, I'm not going to believe it. Seth Curry, though, one of my favorite players currently in the NBA. From his time twice with the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas, unfortunately, not valuing him enough either time, in my opinion. Three and two now, the count to Herrera. 89-mile-an-hour fastball, fair ball, but it's right to the first baseman Goldschmidt. They're saying it's a fair ball, and now there's some question. Home plate umpire made some type of a ruling. Did it bounce off his leg or something? Didn't look like it. Manager coming out for the Cardinals trying to understand what the call is. They calling catcher interference, maybe? Because that was a fair ball all the way. I don't know what the problem is. Still going over all the different achievements Joey Chestnut has had. Eating world records. I'll put it this way. He can eat a lot. That's all I'll say. Yeah, eating contests are not for the faint of heart. No, thank you. With the game in Philadelphia, they're doing some cheesecake or Philly cheesesteak themed eating contests. MLB eating records. Mets hold the record of 103 cheesesteaks for a team. Joey Chestnut did 23 by himself in like 11 minutes. The Rockies coach apparently did, in 3 days, he ate 21 and a half cheesesteaks. That doesn't sound too undoable. That's only like, what, five a day ish? It is. I don't know if I'll stream the hot dog eating contest, but we'll see. Depending on what time it is in the morning. They usually have those things pretty early on in the day, so I might do it before a baseball game. They usually try to put those on before the baseball games get going. But I might do that one. I'll do the commentary for you. That way you don't have to look at the screen. I'll let you know how it's going. Something like that. We'll see. I don't know. Y'all tell me in the chat. Do y'all want to see something like that? Americans are known for their ability to eat, unfortunately. You go everywhere else around the world, or if you even go on a cruise, you've seen it before. Americans are loading up their plate at the buffet, piling it as high as they can. Then you see all these other people at the buffet on the cruise ship or something like that that are coming from other countries. And you see them get one or two things on their plate and everything, and then they go back for seconds and thirds and that kind of a thing. Americans, nah, pile that thing as high as you can. It might be gone and not be there when you come back. That's their thought process there. So Americans are definitely different when it comes to their food. And it does look like he is indeed out. I guess Herrera was trying to claim that it bounced off of him, or if he thought it bounced foul. But that was a fair ball down the first base line. Goldschmidt able to jog easily out and get him out at first. Wayne Wright delivers strike one to Stott. He is your shortstop today. Another curveball right on the outside corner. Buckles Stott at the plate. Makes him a little weak in the knees on that one. But yeah, y'all let me know. If y'all want me to do the hot dog eating contest, y'all got to let me know in the chat. I ain't going to do it if nobody's going to watch, that's for sure. That's a tough thing to watch. Hot dogs being shoved in there, soggy buns. Who wants a hot dog with a soggy bun and watch somebody eat that over and over and over again? So if y'all want me to live stream it so I can watch and tell you how it's going, that way you don't have to see all the nastiness, you let me know. You'll watch. Okay. There's one. I need at least a couple more of y'all to tell me if you're going to watch or not. Oh, don't worry. I'll do lots of streams here over the next 24 hours. I do still have a 9 to 5 type of job anyway, so until this gets into the lucrative part of the YouTube stuff, and even then still has to make enough to pay mortgage and stuff like that, that's a long way away. But every one of y'all who subscribe certainly helped to make that goal happen. Otherwise, I'd be able to stream a lot more, put out a lot more content for y'all if I could. But as it stands right now, I'll try to stream as much as I possibly can when I'm off of work. And even when I'm at work, I still try to put out some videos. I think Friday I was working pretty much all day long, but I had made some videos in the morning and I released them all throughout the day just for y'all. A lot of free agency news in the NBA I put out. A 1-out walk there to the 8-hole hitter by Wainwright. Wainwright unhappy with himself, realizing that, hey, that was an 8-hole hitter that I just let go. It is another hot night. Even in Philadelphia, it's a little warm. Thank you for subscribing. I would love for this to be my job. As much as I put effort into it, I've got computers and ring lights and more lighting, and I'm looking at possibly getting a mic for y'all so that the sound is a little bit better, because the mic on this camera that I'm using, I'm still not completely happy with. Just has a little bit of ring to it in my voice whenever I look back at the videos that I do on my live stream. I want to get that a little bit better, but kind of a perfectionist. A friend of mine, he does another YouTube channel, but he has a tech YouTube, and he does nothing but perfect videos. He puts out one video every 2-3 weeks, somewhere in there, when he's really motivated. For me, I put out at least a video a day, or at least I try to. Nice base hit there by Munoz, the 9-hole hitter. And it looks like Philadelphia has something going here at the bottom of the order. But yeah, like I said, I'd love to make this my job, but in order for that to happen, tell your friends, tell them to subscribe. Just having more subscribers really does help go a long way to having the content seen by a lot more people. You hear how different programs have different algorithms that they use, like TikTok has algorithms that they use. YouTube has their own algorithms as far as who gets in the shorts feed. I do a lot of short videos, especially when I'm at work. I try to do one when I'm on the way or sitting in the parking lot waiting to go into work, stuff like that. I try to do one on my lunch break. If I try to come home and do a couple of videos for y'all or live stream, stuff like that. But I would really like this to be my job. Sports has always been my number one passion. There's a lot of people out there that could say that, but I may have found a way to enjoy it with more people. I've never really had a lot of people to talk about with sports aside from my dad. I'm sure a lot of you are the same way. That was kind of your relationship with your dad. So Father's Day was last month anyway, a few weeks ago. When Father's Day comes around, a lot of my memories with my dad are going to sporting events, watching sports, talking about sports, stuff like that. So for those of you who on this Independence Day spent time with your family, maybe sports was a part of that for you guys, and hopefully this Independence Day you're able to enjoy that. Schwarber rolls over one after getting the 8-9 hitters to reach. Schwarber rolls over that ball, and the side is retired on that double play. Nice play there by Gorman. Flips it on to Edman and over to Goldschmidt. Great job there. Nah, it's Independence Day. Everybody's got nostalgia on their mind. Shoot, baseball is a nostalgia game. It's America's pastime. It's not, they don't call it America's future time. They call it America's pastime for a reason. A lot of good memories, good and bad memories. I'm sure everybody has some type of sports related memory if you're watching this live stream. But as I was mentioning, there's a lot of news going around the NBA as we wait for the fourth inning to get underway. Or third inning, sorry. Still looking for that news on Kyrie Irving, but I still don't see anything, so I don't think that's real news at the moment. You're not going to get a lot of headlines on a holiday weekend, but it does look like there's a little bit of news. The Oklahoma City Thunder have waived former second-round pick from the Mavericks and Isaiah Roby. He played 45 games last year, 10 points a game. Not a high-impact waive there, but they got a lot of draft picks that they brought in, and he's the odd man out. Apparently, the Warriors are now a team to watch for Kevin Durant. I do understand that for the assets that the Warriors have. They're trying to cash in their winning chips or their championship window right now, capitalize on the Steph, Klay Thompson era, Draymond Green. But would that really make sense from a cap management perspective, from a future perspective? They just won the title without him. They have a lot of good, talented pieces coming up. Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman. Kuminga looks like he's going to be a player in this league along with Moody. They also have Jordan Poole, another young player that they're going to have to pay. Andrew Wiggins is due a contract, I believe, after this coming season anyway. Sorry, it is the fourth inning. Arenado hammers that ball down the third baseline foul. .893 OPS this year. Another ball hammered to third base off the glove of Bohm and down the line in foul territory. Arenado stays at first, though. Bohm unable to dig it out. Wheeler, through gritted teeth, takes a heavy sigh. Before Wheeler came to the Philadelphia Phillies, he was a pitcher for division rival, the New York Mets. Phillies have capitalized off of the division, different free agents around the division. Bryce Harper, of course, came over from the Nationals. They've been willing to invest in players that they have a lot of familiarity with. Wheeler, of course, had injury issues with his time with the Mets anyway. He seems to have been able to get those or put those behind him. Fly ball there down the line, caught by Castellanos, and there is one away. Just saw that we have now 300 subscribers. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate you guys joining the Upside. I appreciate every single one of you who hit that subscribe button. 300 is one great milestone for us. Still trying to climb all the way up to the levels where YouTube actually takes care of us who make all this content. But we got a long way to go, but the 300 is definitely a step in the right direction. So thank you. So for those of you who've joined us today during the live stream, thank you very much. Yepes, who put up a tough at-bat together in his first at-bat, goes up against Wheeler here. Ball won by Wheeler. Up to 61 pitches now through 3 1/3. Ball 2 there. Wheeler's starting to have some struggle with command here in the fourth. As we expected coming into this contest, a good pitcher's duel, Wainwright versus Wheeler. Three 3-0 now the count as Wheeler again struggles with location. Pops it up on a 3-0 pitch right over the pitcher's mound. Hoskins comes in and makes the play. Probably an infield fly rule in effect on that one. And there's 2 away. Rhys Hoskins anyway, was one of the few players that's been impacted most by the change in management. He's played much better ever since Girardi was relieved of duties. Now, is that all on the coaching staff changes, or is that some on the player just finally finding some luck on balls in play? I don't believe it's all on the manager, but it certainly has something to do with it, whether it's just a mindset or an approach. But Hoskins has improved. Goldschmidt so far this year, much better at home than on the road, but he's still an MVP candidate in my book, possibly even a favorite, depending on who you ask. Carlson able to lay off that one. He's 1 for 1 on the day. Still nothing our score here in the top of the 4th inning. News from the NHL, Ryan McDonough, the defenseman, from the Tampa Bay Lightning, who won 2 titles with Tampa Bay the last couple of years, and of course made it to the Cup final this year, but lost to the Colorado Avalanche, has been traded for a couple of prospects to Nashville. Trying to steal second base is Arenado, and Real Muto absolutely gunned him down. I don't know what you're thinking about doing there. I suppose you're trying to think in a tough pitcher's duel, maybe getting second base gets you a little bit better advantage in a close game to win the game outright. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. Will the starting pitching go deep in the game like we all think? I believe so. One of the names that people have mentioned around the MLB trade deadline is Juan Soto. There's rumors that the Nationals are willing to offer him 13 years, $435 million, making him by far the highest paid player in Major League Baseball, ahead of Mike Trout. And it sounds like there was an offer made and it was declined. Something like that is absolutely mystifying if you're a former player or even a current fan. $435 million. We've never seen a contract anywhere even close to something like that. Patrick Mahomes is the only other player that I can think of that makes anywhere close to that type of a salary. But he signed a 10-year, what was it, $450 or a $500 million contract, something like that. But those type of contracts are few and far between. And for a player like Soto, he's a great young player. He's absolutely a fantastic all-around player. He's having a down year, hitting only like 220 something this year. And so you can kind of see the trouble that a contract like that on a team that's losing would have to face. Look at the Los Angeles Angels. They haven't been able to put a playoff team together, let alone win playoff games with Mike Trout. Now, whether or not you believe it's because of the money or how they've invested their other money, the failed contracts of Albert Pujols or Josh Hamilton or C.J. Wilson over the years, just poor investments in Anthony Rendon right now, Justin Upton. Those big money contracts just haven't worked for the Angels. Now, maybe the Nationals can build a better team. They did win a World Series recently, so they have a little bit more credibility as an organization. The Angels did win one in the early 2000s as well, so they still have some credibility. But the handling of Mike Trout, just the way they haven't been able to win playoff games, is what really matters. So, is a contract like that, $435 million or so, going to hamstring your organization to going forward? Remains to be seen. Now, Juan Soto, the player, he left a game injured today, had MRIs on his calf. They were negative. Now, the big issue with big contracts, of course, is if you do get one of those big injuries, pitchers say they get a Tommy John, or a player tears an ACL. Things like that are going to take you out for an extended period of time and change the way you play a game. So you just never really know what's going to happen over a 13-year-long contract. So we'll see what ends up happening. Bottom of the fourth here. Oh, my. There's the first run of the game. Rhys Hoskins absolutely hammers that ball by Wainwright. Ugh. Crushes it into left center field. Well out of here. 400-foot home run. 107 miles an hour off the bat. Absolutely hammered that ball. That would have been a home run just about in any ballpark. Oh. Hammered it. Nice piece of hitting there by Rhys Hoskins, and again continues his hot hitting ever since the change in management in Philadelphia. Just a hanging pitch there. The catcher for St. Louis absolutely knew it the second it was hit, just kind of put his head down and was like, ugh. Very nice piece of hitting by Hoskins. Three true outcomes: home run, walk, and strikeout. Very big in today's game, even with Major League Baseball and teams trying to change their approach, make things a little bit better. But that shift did not hold that ball in. Hit it over them. They can't stop it. Nick Castellanos digs in and takes strike one. Castellanos definitely feeling the effects of that contract that he signed this offseason with Philadelphia. You'd think after his years in Cincinnati, after having a big contract there, opting out and signing an even bigger deal here with the Philadelphia Phillies, that he'd be okay with a big contract. Well, he said in multiple interviews now that it's certainly affected his performance. He's hitting 247 and only has an OPS of 647. This one flies out to right field again, and that's the first out of the inning. Wainwright has only thrown 46 pitches through 3 1/3 so far, has given up the lone home run of the game. For those of us who literally just logged in, Rhys Hoskins just hit the home run, giving the Philadelphia Phillies a 1-0 lead over the Cardinals. Shift is on for Hall anyway. Strike on the outside corner. He struck out looking last time to Wainwright. Nice curveball there on the outside corner for strike one. The pitch. Bounced in the dirt. See if he could get him to chase. He does not offer. And the count evens at 1-1. This offseason, Major League Baseball is going to have a number of shortstops hitting the market again. This offseason, where we had Corey Seager, Javi Baez, Marcus Semien, Trevor Story, Carlos Correa, that was thought to be the greatest shortstop class of free agents ever. And now we might have one almost as good next year with Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, possibly Carlos Correa in there. Dansby Swanson is also going to be a free agent. The Philadelphia Phillies, their shortstop is going to be a free agent, Didi Gregorius, but he's not in that same category. But the shortstop class this offseason is going to be very good as well. Ooh, Hall absolutely hammers that ball, but it's foul. That's in the second deck down the right field line. Wainwright finally getting those pitches that he's leaving hanging over the middle of the plate are getting crushed. He's got to be careful not to give up another one now. That pitch hung on the inside part of the plate. Definitely not where he wanted that ball to finish. 1-2 now the count. Derek Hall Derek Hall, the hitter for the Philadelphia Phillies, just made his debut on the 29th, just a couple of days ago. Hit fourth in that lineup, especially with Bryce Harper now out. They needed some type of a power hitter. His first 3 hits since then have all been home runs. So maybe he'll run into another one here. That ball rolled over to the shortstop playing with a shift on the right side of the bag. On to first, and Hall is retired. And yes, this is a Dallas Stars Cup. Giving you some numbers on it. As I mentioned earlier, that absolutely would have been a home run in all 30 ballparks. StatCast confirms. Going over some of the hitting coach things that they've done on the broadcast right now. As we mentioned, the change in management to Thompson. They kind of move things around as well. Real Muto, 0 for 1 in the game so far. Did have a nice play defensively, and sometimes when you have that nice play in the top half of the inning, that next time you're up to bat, something good happens. We'll see if that happens here. Off the plate inside. 2-0 now the count. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Only run in the game so far is a home run, solo home run by Rhys Hoskins, sorry. 2-0 now the count to Real Muto. Nice curveball there. Bends, but not over the plate, they say. Tough to see from that angle as it was behind home plate. 3-0 now the count. The pitch. Outside corner for a strike. 3-1 to Real Muto. Realmuto does get a nice hit there. Defensive play turns in a nice offensive play. Funny how things work together sometimes. 2-out single by Real Muto. Alec Boehm is up. 0 for 1 on the day, 4 home runs, 27 RBIs anyway. As I mentioned, the Phillies adding a whole bunch of bats over the last couple of years have certainly taken a lot of the pressure off of a prospect like Boehm to perform. His hit tool is probably the best of the Phillies prospects that they've had in recent years, and they're hoping for him to be a cornerstone for the franchise going forward. And so far, hasn't completely lived up to everything, so hopefully bringing in some more bats will help take even more pressure off and allow him to just perform. 2-0 the count now as Wainwright gets behind again to another batter, starting to lose location just like Wheeler the last half inning. Wheeler was able to work around it. Let's see if Wainwright can do the same. The pitch. Right down the middle, and Boehm fouls it straight back to the screen. If you're Boehm, you want to have that pitch back. That was your chance to really hammer one there, and you missed it. 2-1. Apparently, James Harden had a meeting with Philadelphia 76ers brass today to discuss his new contract. As a little flare by Boehm gets to right field, fielded cleanly there, but easily onto third base is Real Muto, who has decent speed, especially for a catcher. He is actually a stolen base threat. And the Phillies have something cooking here in the fourth. First and third. Now for the Phillies. One already in for the Phillies this inning. Nice piece of hitting there by Boehm, making solid contact flares it over the first baseman's head and into short right field. That ball died when it hit the ground too. A little bit of notes on the MLB. 19 teams have made the postseason after making a midseason coaching change. The last was the Colorado Rockies. We'll see what kind of success they can have now. Odubel Herrera digs in. Another pitch misses. Wainwright really struggling to find location this half inning. Sunlight finally disappearing from the skies. Lights getting a little bit brighter. Wainwright steps off. Odubel Herrera hitting .241 on the year, 5 home runs, does have 18 RBIs. He does not play every day for Philadelphia. Off the plate inside, and another 2-0 count to a Philly hitter. These aren't really competitive pitches either. Wainwright unhappy with how he's performing. You can see it on his face. July 17th is the MLB Draft. It is 20 rounds. The 18th will be the Home Run Derby on a Monday, and then an All-Star game to follow on a Tuesday. It will be held in Los Angeles this year at Dodger Stadium. Remember to go to MLB.com to vote for your All-Star from your favorite team. Trade deadline later on this month. Nice pitch there right at the bottom of the zone, but does not get the call. He got the benefit of a nice call earlier in the game that was well off the plate. Herrera takes that pitch that was right at the bottom of the zone, Major League Baseball, of course, as I've mentioned in almost every live stream I've done of a baseball game, baseball is requesting that they raise the zone for hitters to encourage to keep the ball in play. That, however, was clearly a strike. Robo-ump would have called it. Wainwright really wishes he could have had that one. Ooh, a nice curveball. This one was actually a little bit lower than the last pitch, but this one was called a strike. Maybe the height and depth of that curveball was enough to convince the home plate umpire. It's now 3-2. Nice frame job there by the catcher. Herrera had already turned and started to halfway jog to first. Still had the bat in his hands, kind of knew that one was a strike. That one's a low strike, but grounded over to Goldschmidt by Herrera. This time, it's a complete out. Remember the last half inning, Herrera hit another ground ball to first base, almost the exact same thing. This time, there's no contention of a foul ball or not. He is out, and that's the end of the inning. Wainwright finally gets out of the jam. 1 run is across, though, on a Rhys Hoskins solo home run to get the scoring started for us today. Thank you guys for joining us on your Independence Weekend. Hope you had a lot of fun doing whatever you like to do with your independence, those freedoms, those liberties that so many have fought and died for. Hope you take a moment to kind of think about all those people that you may or may not have known, that you may have never seen anybody who's fought in a war. I'm sure you've met somebody at some point down the line that has, whether you know it or not. But there's a lot of people who've sacrificed for the freedoms that you have, not just military veterans, but people who do community care projects for you, people who take care of the highways around the nation, the police force that keeps your home safe, that allows you to travel safely on the roadways from accidents, travel. There's a lot of different people that you can think of that have made this great country work the way it has, and take a moment to think about them and everybody else who is a part of this great nation. Nathan's hot dog eating contest again is tomorrow. We had one vote for us to do the live stream, but we'll see if that ends up happening again. Still on the fence as to whether or not I'll do it, but we'll see. I will try to live stream a lot of different events tomorrow. We'll see if the hot dog eating contest is one of them. Going through some old Cardinals footage. More NBA news coming out that the Raptors are equally as interested in Kevin Durant as any other team in the league. Well, no kidding, every team will be. But they're going over some old footage of Rick Ankiel, player for the St. Louis Cardinals, as he has now joined the K-Rod broadcast on ESPN2. He was a pitcher at one point and a position player at one point as well for the St. Louis Cardinals. One of the first few position flex players out there. So when you think of Shohei Ohtani or Babe Ruth, there's a lot of players who've tried it over the years. Not everybody can do it, and certainly not many people have ever done it at the same time. Ohtani is probably one of the best ever to do so. So kind of keep that in mind when you think of how rare of a talent Shohei Ohtani is. I know you keep hearing that from all the major reporters around Major League Baseball, but it is truly that rare. Is he the best in the game at either side of the ball? No. But he's definitely in the top 5 or 6 possibly in either category, depending on if he's focusing on just one or the other. 3-1 now the count to Carlson as he falls behind here. Carlson, of course, was at bat when Nolan Arenado tried to steal second base in the last half inning. A little bit of a pitcher's duel, but both pitchers are struggling with location the last inning and a half. Nice pitch there. MLB history with 10 wins as a pitcher and hit 70 home runs in the history of baseball. 3 players are on that list: Babe Ruth, Rick Ankiel, and Shohei Ohtani. That's how rare it is. Now, Rick Ankiel didn't do it at the same time. So what Shohei Ohtani is doing is absolutely unbelievable. Ball 4 there to Carlson. Leadoff man is on. Thompson, the manager for Philadelphia Phillies, kind of shakes his head, going, "Come on, man. How many times do we have to pound it into our pitcher's head not to give a leadoff walk?" Now, you don't want to completely give in to the hitter either and just groove a fastball down the middle, but you got to have a competitive pitch. That was not. Capella's in there, 0 for 1 on the day. Nice curveball there by Wheeler. Finds the strike zone. Darkness really rolling in now as the sun starts to set beyond the horizon. Oh, a nice little flare caught by Alec Boehm. Beautiful. Boehm has the flare fall in for him. And unfortunately for the Cardinals, they are not able to get it to fall for them. Showing highlights of Mark Appel's debut for the Phillies against the Braves the other night. Once a top draft pick, one of the top overall draft picks by the Houston Astros decided not to sign, ended up getting drafted again later on the following year by the Phillies, and he spent a number of years in the minor leagues and now finally has made it to the big leagues. Wheeler misses with that pitch in the other's batter's box. Want to know the count now to the St. Louis catcher, not named Yadier Molina. Still curious what y'all think of from our conversation earlier. If you think Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens deserves a Hall of Fame shot, or if you believe they should be in the Hall of Fame entirely. I'm of the opinion Barry Bonds probably would have been a Hall of Famer, but again, it's also got to consider character. And at the time, a lot of players did not have the character that they do now. Not saying that the majority of them or even half of them had bad character. I'm just saying at the time, they were allowed to do what they did implicitly. Now, it wasn't necessarily written in stone that, hey, it's okay to use performance-enhancing drugs. A nice hit off the end of the bat by Kitzer gets the runner over to second base with an out there. Wheeler, of course, sprinted after that ball and was unable to get it. Hoskins gives his pitcher some time to catch his breath there. But as I said, to me, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens were allowed to do what they did by the implicit consent other players gave them. Nobody ever really called them out or said, hey, look at him in the gym, or hey, I saw this guy taking needles in the bathroom, or whatever the case may be. There was no self-reporting like players do nowadays. Minor leagues, it seems to be more of a problem just because players think they can get away with more in the minors. Major leaguers, they're all pretty much stand-up guys at this point. Nobody really has a bone to pick with anybody else. Players are all friends with everybody on every team. And yes, the sunlight is setting in where I am here in Texas. So we can slide back so y'all can avoid that streak across me. That's a little better. But as I said, I still have to work a 9-to-5 job. Got a nice studio set up so far. Hopefully we can continue to put out content for you guys. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button, really means a lot. Like, you have no idea how much it means to have you guys subscribe to us here at the Upside. I mean, I would absolutely love to do nothing but give you guys content all day, every day. Like, I've really enjoyed sports since the moment I basically remember walking. We would listen to ESPN radio as a kid in the car every day. So being able to do sports like this, live streams, watch parties, chat with you guys. Soft line drive by Edman off the end of the bat, or excuse me, off the fists anyway, and jams him, and that's the third out of the inning. Going to the bottom of the fifth, Phillies up by 1. We now have an official game if for some reason there is a rain delay. But as I mentioned, it really does help to have you guys subscribe. I mean, there's a lot of different social media platforms and groups that you can use out there. Having you guys subscribe really does help us improve, makes us a little bit better. When you guys comment, tell me what content you like or what you're responding to. I try to make some content about that. Remember when I first started this, I had a guy request a video. I forget what it was about from his team, but he wanted us to make a video about a team that I don't usually cover because they hadn't made a lot of newsworthy transactions. I still made a video about that content, just to at least give him some information that he may or may not have already had. But just so that you guys understand where I'm coming from, the 4 major sports I cover here at the Upside, I get some help from a couple other people as well. But the 4 major sports: baseball, basketball, football, and hockey. NBA, MLB, NHL, and the NBA. All 4 of those sports I try to cover extensively anyway. I try to cover all teams across the league, whether or not you're, the best team in baseball, which would be in the Yankees so far today, or the Baltimore Orioles. I try to at least give you some content on each one of them. Like I mentioned earlier today, the Orioles won their game 3-1. Odor and Mancini hit the home run. I try to make individual videos as often as I can about each one of these items. As long as it's a newsworthy thing, I try to put it out there for you guys. MLB free agency is happening right now, and so we saw how a number of different players signed max contract extensions. Not exactly the most newsworthy item, but some of these teams didn't have any other news so far in the offseason, so I put out some of that news for you guys. There's still a whole bunch of news that I can give y'all. That I want to make some videos on, but I have to have the time to do so. I still work a 9-to-5 job, so I got to make that happen. But the more content y'all tell me you like, the more content you guys say that you want to hear, the more I will try to make. So thank you guys for subscribing today, getting us over that 300 mark. Really means a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wainwright back out there. Generous call that time from home plate umpire. And it's strike 1 to stop. Worked a walk his first time around. Ball 1, 1-1. That pitch bounced in the dirt, yet Stott still swung at it as it was at his back foot. Nice pitch there by Wainwright, enticing the swing. 1-2 the count. Wow, they're showing some of the Shohei Ohtani numbers in June. 5 starts, a 1.52 ERA with less than a 1 WHIP. Still had 6 home runs and a great power numbers for the Angels. He's doing it all for them, that's for sure. They're still struggling to find the W, though, more often than not, which has always been the problem with the Angels over the last several years. The Rangers ran the division for a number of years. The Astros have ran it for probably the last 6 or 7 years now, since that young core first came up with Correa and Altuve. Altuve is a little bit older. He was part of those losing teams that allowed them to get all those high draft picks that turned out. George Springers of the world, the Alex Bregmans, the international free agent in Yuli Gurriel. Some of the top draft picks right now, Kyle Tucker performing as well, taking over some of that offensive role that Michael Brantley has provided the last few years. But the Angels still have struggled to find the win column over the last 10 years, and they really need to do so. Mike Trout is yet another year older. He's a Philadelphia native. Of course, he's locked up for a long time with the Angels. He seems like a very loyal guy, but How often are you going to test that loyal player's loyalty? Getting him a winning team would certainly help. 1-2 the count to Munoz. Wainwright found a little bit of trouble with the 8-9 spot last time through the order, and then got a double play ball out of Schwarber. Wainwright looking to avoid the need for a double play ball here. Munoz steps out and requests time. And the pitch. Grounds it to short, on to first, and that's the second out. Great play there by Edman. Every play seems routine until that one time when it doesn't. So making those plays look as routine as possible, practicing is important. Sorry, Philadelphia, for all those of you who are Iverson fans. Practice. We talking about practice? Yes, practice makes perfect. Schwarber digging in for his third at-bat of the day. 0 for 2 so far. Average is dipping a little bit down to 216. 23 home runs on the year. Power numbers are there. 51 RBIs. And the pitch just off the corner. About 2 or 3 inches off the outside corner. And it's 1-0. Again, thank you guys for joining us on this Independence weekend. Just spent some time with my family. Got to enjoy some barbecue, a little bit of grilling. Hope you guys got to do a lot of those same type of activities. Whatever your traditions are as a family for the Independence weekend. One and one the count. Ooh, filthy curveball there by Wainwright. Absolutely froze Schwarber, who did go around on that one. That would have been a strike anyway. And it's 1-2 the count now. Shift is deployed for Schwarber. Seems that that's deployed almost immediately nowadays by every team. Schwarber has laid down a bunt in the past against the shift. That's why they still have one guy at least respecting the bunt possibility on the other side of the diamond. The pitch, low and gets away from the catcher, but doesn't really matter as there is nobody on. 2-2 the count. Beautiful pitch there, right on the inside corner. You can kind of see why Schwarber has a bone to pick on that one. That was low and in. Yeesh. That strike zone has been mystifying at times tonight. Robo-ump argument yet again. Cannot wait until they solve that problem. As much as some people would encourage and say it's part of the human element of the game, the human element of the game should take place between the lines of the sport, not by whether or not it's a strike or a ball, whether or not it actually was a strike or a ball, that kind of thing. The sport should be played how it was originally intended to be, between two teams, not two teams and umpires. Just saying. So taking one responsibility off of the umpires to call balls and strikes leaves them to focus on so many other things, whether or not players are having balks, if they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing on the base paths, actually executing the game the way it should be, would be the responsibility of that home plate umpire. So kind of keep that in mind when you're watching games as to how much energy they're taking into calling balls and strikes, and whether or not they're paying attention if the batter actually goes around on a swing. I hate it when a home plate umpire calls a strike on a guy when he swings his bat halfway through the zone when he looks on when you look on replay, and he absolutely did not. Things like that, umpires can pay a lot more attention to and actually get correct a lot more often if they simply use the robo-ump system. Basically, the way it works, kind of like a computer-generated strike zone, but remember, it's not just a 2D strike zone. The plate does have depth to it, so that's the part of the technology that was being worked on It seems like they may be getting close, if not already have perfected it, but they still want to work it out in the minor leagues and make sure that the tech is still good, make sure it's going to be good for Major League Baseball. With that being said, all it would do is basically relay from somebody up in a booth somewhere to relay the strike or ball call, and have the umpire. You can even have him signal strike or ball. Shoot, you could even have the umpire forget it entirely and have it put up on the scoreboard. Something like that. There's a lot of different ways they can do it. That's why they're experimenting with it in the minors as far as how to relay that information. But having that robo ump tell them if it was a strike or ball eliminates a lot of these arguments about whether or not it was a strike or whether or not it was a ball. You don't have to worry about that kind of a thing. Now, we do like to see emotion in baseball, but I like to see emotion for the reasons that we should see it, not because of, hey, I thought it was a strike. No, I thought it was a ball. We don't need to have that kind of a problem. Players throwing intentionally at other players on other teams, that's been a problem for decades in baseball. Things like that, they could police a lot more as well. Wheeler is back out for the sixth, 91 mile an hour. I want to say that's a two-seam fastball he's throwing there, up and in. Hoskins, the only run of the game to score, hit a solo home run in the fourth. 2-0 the count to Wheeler as he's lost his command again. Had great command the first 3 innings and then lost it in the fourth. We seemed to regain some of that as the inning wound on in the fifth. Again, losing that command here in the sixth. Donovan fouls that pitch away. It's now 2-1, 95 miles an hour on the pitch. That was his fastball. It looks like he might be losing a little bit of velocity, getting a little tired out there perhaps. He's up to 84 pitches here in the top of the sixth. That's a ball off the plate inside, and it's 3-1. Good eye there by Donovan. And the pitch fouled away, 3-2. Wheeler is able to get it back to full. Ooh, another elevated fastball. He's still able to get it by him, but that was a few miles an hour off of what he was throwing early in the game. Another strikeout for Wheeler. I think that caught a little bit more of the plate than he was hoping. He didn't quite elevate it enough, I think, to where he was wanting to go with it, but he's still able to power it past Donovan there. Donovan looked like he was expecting something different. Goldschmidt is back in. Takes a strike there. 19 home runs, 65 RBIs for the first baseman. Remember, he came over from the Arizona Diamondbacks a couple of years ago. Corner infield position, not homegrown for the Cardinals. Goldschmidt somehow able to hold off on his swing on that one. 1-2 now the count. Wheeler has broken 90 pitches now for the game. Probably the last inning of work for Wheeler, depending on how it goes. If he's able to get Goldschmidt and Arenado quickly, maybe he comes out for the seventh. Goldschmidt pops it up, short right field, second baseman out, right fielder in. Castellanos calls him off and makes the catch. 2 away. Wheeler's been good tonight. Able to work through command issues at times. Able to avoid barrels. He has pitched well. Able to strand runners on base early on. Nolan Arenado up. Cardinals are 44-36. Philadelphia 41 and 38. After having a losing record for much of the season before they relieved Joe Girardi of his duties as manager. Girardi will likely coach again somewhere. It's just a matter of time. A lot of veteran managers who were hired this past offseason. Buck Showalter for the Mets, Dusty Baker for the Astros, La Russa for the White Sox. So I fully expect Girardi to get another chance as a manager. Arenado pounds that one into the dirt, foul, and it's 1-2 now the count. If Wheeler can put away Arenado on this pitch, maybe he comes back out to at least start the seventh. And if a player gets on, maybe they'll pull him after that. Showing Nolan Arenado has won 9 straight Gold Gloves at the third base position. The record for any position is 10 by Ichiro Suzuki. And Arenado does pop it up again, short right field. Castellanos calls off the second baseman at the very last second and makes the catch. Wow. 5.5 in the books now. Phillies on top 1-0. Kind of check in on a couple of headlines around baseball and around the NBA as well. NBA free agency began a couple of days ago. Teams are willing to negotiate with players from other teams anyway. We've seen a number of different trades already go down. Chief among them was the Rudy Gobert trade from the Utah Jazz to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota, before they agreed to the deal, offered the same package to the Brooklyn Nets for Kevin Durant. That is one hefty package they were offering as well, but Brooklyn said, no thanks. We want one of the star players back in return, Anthony Edwards or Karl Anthony Towns. They said, nope, not doing it. Can't really blame them. They were already offering a hefty package, and asking for more on top of that is lofty expectations, to be sure. But Brooklyn has said that they wanted a massive haul in return, and it sounds like they're going to hold out till they get some taker out there. With every team in the league that interested in Kevin Durant, I'm sure they'll find some taker out there. Now, whether or not they'll get the haul that they're wanting remains to be seen. But as far as the trade itself, it was 3 unprotected picks in 25, 27, and 29 from Minnesota, as well as a 2023 pick and a 2026 pick swap that was also unprotected, in addition to the first-round pick, number 22 overall, Kessler, as well as Bolmaro, a first-round pick from last year, in addition to Patrick Beverley on an expiring contract, and a shooting guard, Malik Beasley, as well. Now, the Jazz do have a number of guards on their roster. I expect them to try to turn around and flip one of them. They said after the trade was made that they absolutely would not, under any circumstances, trade Donovan Mitchell. I don't believe that for an instant, mainly because I don't believe Donovan Mitchell is going to allow that to happen. Now, they could, of course, invest all that money and turn around and trade all that draft pick capital and go after a guy like a Kevin Durant. But if that package wasn't enough to get KD, what exactly do you think you're going to be able to get KD for that package for? I don't see a reason why that would happen. But that's kind of your big headline. Rudy Gobert going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They also signed Kyle Anderson a 2-year, $18 million deal, and kind of building up that depth that they just traded away. Bottom of the 6th, Haskins back up at the dish anyway, 1 for 2. It has the only run of the game, a solo home run, 1-1 the count. Big swing by Hoskins, way out in front of that changeup or fastball. I can't really tell. Wainwright does throw a little bit softer. That was an 89-mile-an-hour pitch, so we'll see. Hoskins up to 255 for the batting average for the year, 17 home runs and 42 RBIs. Two and two now the count. 84 pitches for Wainwright so far. Hoskins off the end of the bat, same left center field gap. This one looks like it's gone, and it's off the wall, off the top of the wall. And it's going to be, it gets away from the second baseman, but the first baseman's there to back it up. Throw was closer than I thought it might be after Haskins. Probably thought that one was gone just like me. Second extra base hit for Hoskins today. 2 hits away from a cycle. A little early, honestly, for that watch, but He's got the double and the home run now. He missed a home run by about, okay, maybe not that much, but probably about by like that much there. That would have been a home run in 10 ballparks out of the 30. 389 was the distance on that one. Castellanos digs in. Ball one in the dirt by Wainwright. After struggling with location the last half inning, I wonder if Wainwright has a short leash, especially with an older arm. Maybe he doesn't have that many bullets anymore to go 100 plus. And indeed, two arms are loosening for the Cardinals. Oviedo and Fernand. No, there's like 5 different people milling around, so it's tough to tell who's actually warming up. Want to know the count to Castellanos as Wainwright set and delivers. Perfect strike there right at the knees. Castellanos before this year was one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball over the last 2.5 years, ever since his trade from Detroit to the Cubs. Has knocked the cover off the ball, and it wasn't even close. He was the best hitter in the game by far over that stretch. This year, contract, like I mentioned, has really affected him. 73-mile-an-hour curveball. He laces into center field. Left fielder cuts it off, throws home, and that's a horrible decision as it gets past the catcher and the pitcher, goes all the way to the backstop, and Castellanos easily able to advance on that. It's now 2-0. No, he didn't advance. I don't know why. That was something that I don't know why. I still don't know why he didn't try to advance. Poor base running there by Castellanos, but a good hit. Hit it into the left center field area. That ball just seemed to die in midair as Donovan tried to throw it in. That ball was up the third base line and able to get past both the catcher and the pitcher. Castellanos rounded first base and then basically stopped after 2 steps. Mike Maddox out to check on Wainwright. Wainwright doing most of the talking here. Sounds like he's trying to convince the staff that he's ready to accept the challenge now that he's down 2-0. Phillies are 8 games back in the NL East. Cardinals are a game and a half back in the NL Central. Nice piece of hitting there by Castellanos. Maybe a good game today might shake him out of his doldrums. Derek Hall is up. Remember, no Bryce Harper as he is out with injury. I believe he's out for like a month or something like that was the last I heard. Hall fouls that pitch off, 88-mile-an-hour fastball in the outside corner. Chases that one. 0-2 now the count. Wainwright up to 90 pitches. You have to feel if one more hitter reaches in this inning, that's going to be curtains for Wainwright. Oh and 2 the count, the set and the pitch. Another curveball in the dirt, blocked nicely. Hall able to lay off that pitch. His average is down to 188, but remember, he did just come up from the minors on the 29th of June. His first 3 hits, again, as we mentioned, were all 3 home runs. So does possess some power. He did debut as a cleanup hitter, so we'll see if he's able to stay with that form. Swinging and a miss there. The veteran Wainwright gets the better of Hall there. Going to make that batting average dip even more. Wow, they brought in Ozzie Smith for this interview. Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith. Those of you who've watched baseball a long time, he's as synonymous with baseball as pretty much anybody. Great defender in his day, great shortstop. Wow. He was in the day back when it was harder for baseball players to cross over into mainstream media. He was one of the few that was able to get some pop culture references. Even in the 2000s, long after his playing career was over, Tom Selleck, one of my favorite actors anyway, in his show Magnum PI, and then in Blue Bloods, and then most recently with Jesse Stone anyway, his TV movie series that he had for a long time. He mentioned that his favorite player was Ozzie Smith, getting some pub, even in modern day pop culture. Not necessarily too pop culture-y with Tom Selleck, but hey, I like who I like. Sorry. Not sorry. Real Muto fouls that one off, and he quickly is behind 0-2. Ozzie Smith was a 2002 Hall of Fame inductee, won 13 straight Gold Gloves. Second longest by an infielder in MLB history. And the pitch. In the dirt, ball one. Wainwright trying to get Real Muto to chase that one. Not a very competitive pitch, though, for him to really be enticed by. And the pitch. Fouled off again by Real Muto, hanging tough. 90-mile-an-hour pitch there. Speeds are still about the same for Wainwright here in this half inning, but he is up to 96 pitches. Naughton has indeed grabbed the ball and has started to work in earnest out there. As I mentioned, if someone does reach, I fully expect Wainwright to probably get the hook. He would like to get the quality start here, but got some work to do to get there. 2-2 now the count. After that one was low and inside. Cincinnati Reds able to get a 4-3 victory earlier today, a walk-off victory for them. Luis Castillo was the starter for the Reds. Pitched okay, but he's going to be one of the top names on the trade deadline board. That pitch absolutely hammered by Real Muto down the left field line, and that's a home run by Real Muto. That's got to be it for Wainwright. It's now 4-0. Good job by Real Muto, staying with that one. Hit it a little bit off the end of the bat, but that ball was able to carry just enough. 104 miles an hour off the bat. 359 down the line. Great piece of hitting by Real Muto, taking the pitch where it was delivered and sending it as far as he could. Wainwright knows that's it, shakes his head. Nope, he got that one a little bit more on the barrel than I thought, but nice piece of hitting by Real Muto. Stayed back and then exploded to the ball. Very nice. Textbook the way he handled that one. Fan with the glove just missed it by that much. Nope, Wainwright stays in there. I don't understand why he's in there, but he is. Alec Bohm fouls one off. 0-1. 3 runs in here in the inning. Wheels falling off the bus here for Wainwright. Another foul ball, and it's 0-2. He is getting ahead of batters, but he just is starting to miss location with a lot of pitches. That pitch, as I said, or as that, they do a little thing on StatCast anyway, on Sunday Night Baseball, that they have that it'd be a home run in 24 out of 30 ballparks. That's kind of cool. The only question I have, does that take into account where in the ballpark it was hit? For instance, at Fenway Park, that's barely a single because it would bounce off the wall. Do they count for height of the wall and that kind of a thing? Just food for thought. But it's 4-0 Philadelphia over St. Louis here in the bottom of the sixth. Wainwright is at 100 pitches right now. Showing some great highlights of Ozzie Smith, some absolute amazing defensive plays, diving to his left and right, catching a ball midair, gliding through, had some pop with the bat. Naughton really throwing with some effort now. Looks like he's ready, just staring out at the mound, wondering when he's going to get the call. 0-2 the count, still to Bohm. Looks like there's some type of a delay. Maybe a fan ran on the field or something. Who knows? Or maybe a fan needed medical attention, something. I don't know. Players have their hats off looking towards the audience down the third base line. Ump asks Wainwright if he's ready to go. Looks like they've taken care of whatever it was. If I had to guess, it was probably a fan ran onto the field. They never show it, so that's probably what it was since we didn't see it there. Wow. What a gift of a strikeout, and Bohm can't believe it. Phew. Another veteran call there. 101 pitches for Wainwright, and they're still going to stick with him. If he's going to get calls like that, I mean, Bohm looking back at his manager trying to show him where that pitch was. Says that was below my kneecap and about an arm and a half length away, saying it was off the plate. Trying to illustrate as much as he possibly can to the dugout why he believes he should not have struck out. Right there with you, Bohm. Robo-umps. Swing and a miss by Herrera. He was trying to send that one all the way to me here in Texas. 239 average for Herrera. Does have a little bit of pop this year, 5 home runs. Open stance, high leg kick. Drives the ball between the hole on the right side. That's got to do it for Wainwright. Base hit by Herrera, up to 103 pitches. Naughton is just staring a hole in the wall, wondering why he's not in there yet. Now we're finally going to have the pitching change. Looks like the Cardinals give Wainwright one lengthy rope. I mean, he's earned it. If there's one pitcher for them that's earned it, it's him. But things just did not go well here in the 6th inning for him. He lost the chance at a quality start with that home run by Real Muto. And gets pulled 5 2/3. 4 runs allowed. And we're going to have Naughton coming in. He is a lefty, I believe. They might not actually go commercial break, which is rare for a pitching change. When you have a Hall of Famer like Ozzie Smith talking, I guess you let him run right through the stop sign. Nope, now they do go to commercial break. Ozzie Smith was just talking, I guess. Can't really blame him. He's not a TV guy. He's a Hall of Fame guy. Give him his respect. Thank you guys for joining us here at The Upside. We passed 300 subscribers today. I haven't had a chance to look. It does fluctuate from time to time. One person in, one person out. But thank you guys for those of you who have joined us. We really do try to give you as much content as we possibly can. We'd really love to give you more, and with more subscribers, more views that I get, tell your friends to subscribe. If they're a marginal sports fan, if they follow only one team, if they just like to watch a certain player, tell them to give us a follow, and they'll stay up to date on any news that they might want to know about whatever it is that they enjoy. We do cover the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, and the NFL as well. All 4 sports. If you're north of the border, tomorrow is Independence Day here in the United States. We're hoping you had a good weekend, and I know it's probably just another normal weekend, but for us, it's a little special down here in the U.S. For those of you watching in other countries, we appreciate you joining us here as well. Baseball has become more of a global game, but it's still, for us here in America, America's pastime. Nothing more American than apple pie and baseball on the 4th of July. And apparently Nathan's hot dog eating contest, as gross as that sounds. But hey, it is what it is. Stott is going to be due up first for the Phillies when we get back from commercial break, followed by Munoz. Stott is hitting 186, Munoz 269. With a 4-0 lead already, Philadelphia looking to continue to improve. And we're quickly back from break, and on one pitch, Stott flies out to the left fielder, Brendan Donovan. Good job by Naughton getting out of that. You can tell he was a little amped up before he was brought in. Upset that he wasn't brought in sooner to shut things down for Philadelphia a little earlier. He does have a 4.96 ERA, but is able to get the job done on one pitch, and we're through 6. Phillies 4, Cardinals 0. Sunday night baseball. Thank you guys for watching with us. We really appreciate it. Cardinals win. I had a comment like this in an earlier video. Somebody was hoping the Tigers would pull it out. I don't know if this is just an absolute jinx by commenting in there saying the Cardinals will win or not, but who knows? But if you got money on the game, do you have money on the game, Arthur? We had a chat a couple days ago when we did our Twins and Guardians game that we had one person on the Twin side that had money in the game, another person that had money on Cleveland. It was very fun watching that back and forth. Cardinals are going to have to get their bats going if they're going to win. I will say that much. Goldschmidt, we've mentioned he does better at home than on the road. They just went through their 3 and 4 hitters. So you're going to start with Gorman, Yepes, and Carlson. 5, 6, and 7. You're going to need some production sometime in this game if the Cardinals are going to win. They might lift Koppel if they're able to get a runner on, just to get a little bit better hitter up there. He's the 8-hole hitter. He has left 2 on base so far. He hasn't struck out yet, but a better contact hitter might get the job done. Maybe you could see a pinch hitter of Albert Pujols possibly. That'd be interesting for everybody. As I mentioned, Pujols signed a 1-year deal with the Cardinals. Another Cardinals great, Ozzie Smith, getting some run on ESPN2 if you want to check out one of the greatest shortstops to ever play the game. Doing the backflips on the field. Very springy player. Much older guy now. But still looks like he could at least handle a bat if he had to. Maybe get a single or something like that. Maybe not off MLB pitching, but Hall of Fame. In my opinion, it'd be nice if the Hall of Fame week, when they induct when they name the Hall of Famers, or when they induct the Hall of Famers in the summer, something like that, where they allow the Hall of Famers to go out there and play in the Hall of Fame game. That'd be kind of cool. Televising something like that would be really special. for a number of different reasons, allow fans from many generations to celebrate the game. Baseball does a great job of celebrating the Hall of Famers every year, but something like that would be really nice. We saw the Field of Dreams game last year. That was very moving for for a generation of fans that grew up with sports movies. Field of Dreams was one of the very best. Kevin Costner, when he was a lot younger, just performed, had an absolute gem of a performance in that one. He's performed in a lot of sports movies since then, but for me, that will always be his best. I enjoyed Draft Day that he was in. He's been in a couple others as well. But having that Field of Dreams game between the Yankees and White Sox last year, just the game itself was special. I mean, walk-off home runs, or home run by Anderson, home runs into the cornfield. I mean, just playing under the lights. They built that stadium, took care of it all year round. It's going to be really special seeing something like that again this year. I mean, the way they took care of the corn, you can see the fiberglass poles, tiny little fiberglass pole holding up the corn. That way it's an absolutely picturesque scene. I mean, it was beautiful. Apparently they had like hay rides as well out there for the fans that came out. Tickets, I imagine, were not cheap. I don't expect them to be cheap this year either, as Wheeler is still out there here in the top of the seventh. A little bit surprised he came back out with a 4-run lead. The bullpen was an issue last year. It's been a little bit less of an issue this year. 2-2 now the count to Gorman. St. Louis needing to start a rally soon. Haven't found any success yet against Wheeler today. Pitch in the dirt, able to hold off. It's now 3-2. But the Hall of Fame game would be a nice addition to a nationally televised game. Something like that, just literally not have any baseball played that night. And just let the Hall of Famers take the field, or even, something like that. Players or people who are still able to take the field, even if it's not meant to be like a, oh, wow, what a pitch by Wheeler. Both sides have not been happy with the balls and strikes being called tonight. I mean, that one was a fairly close pitch. I mean, if you're a hitter, you got to swing at that one. That was right off the corner. To me, it probably misses the plate if you're robo-ump by about that much. But baseball is a game of inches sometimes, and that one goes Wheeler's way. Mm, mm, mm. Pardon me. A little too much fun over the weekend for me, I suppose. Everybody's having fun with their family, I hope. They do keep Yapez in here. 0-1 the count now. Wheeler up to 104 pitches. The one argument the Wheeler camp made last year that for his Cy Young case was his durability, ability to go deeper into games over a guy like Corbin Burns, who did win the award. I can kind of understand the deeper into games argument, saving the bullpen because they didn't really have a bullpen. But for me, it's all about how the effectiveness, the quality of the innings. So far, no runs have crossed the plate. He's pitched very well. Location has been an issue at times, but he's been able to work through it. And he's at 105 pitches, 106. Yepes down the line, twists foul into the crowd. Still ahead 0-2. So if you're a Wheeler fan, if you're in the Wheeler camp, he did wear down at the end of last year anyway because of all the innings. Slowing down his production in April was a focus for the Philadelphia Phillies. So we'll see how that pays off in September and October. Swing and a miss, 97-mile-an-hour elevated fastball goes right back to it. That pitch has been working for him the entire game. 2 outs here in the 7th. That pitch has been nasty tonight for him. Missed his location where he was wanting to go with that one. I wonder if they're just fooling him by having Real Muta set up low and kind of sweep upward to catch it. I don't know. Looks almost like a too cool for school type of thing with Real Muto back there, but he's definitely one of the best catchers in baseball. Carlson, first pitch, flies to deep left center. Herrera, still running, makes the catch. Schwarber just kind of laughs at him like, dude, that was closer to me than it was you. Why are you calling me off while you're still on a full sprint over here and I'm already here? But I would also trust Herrera more than I would Kyle Schwarber. But we're through 108 pitches for Zach Wheeler. That likely is it for him now that he's crossed the 100 pitch threshold. As we go to the bottom of the 7th, Philadelphia in front, 4-0. Not a lot of offense in this one. Back to the Hall of Fame game and the Field of Dreams game. There's a lot of different ways that baseball can kind of appeal to the younger fan. Just the whole event around the Field of Dreams game was epic last year. Having Kevin Costner actually come out and deliver the ball to home plate anyway, it was a special, surreal, everything worked great kind of thing. It was amazing. I mean, I don't know if there's words to describe how people who watched the movie, how nostalgic that made them feel watching that scene, having him come in, and then the game afterward lived up to the hype. That was amazing. Having something like that as well for the Hall of Fame might be the next step for baseball as well. Baseball has tried lots of different ways to try to appeal, make more events out of a 162-game season, and the Hall of Fame game would be an absolute smash hit, in my opinion. Even having an actual game by major league teams actually take place at Doubleday Field. It's a smaller ballpark. The measurements of the field don't exactly match the measurements of today, as players hit the ball a little further, a little longer. So maybe they could make adjustments to it a little bit to renovate the ballpark. But having a Hall of Fame type of a game in the middle of the calendar year would make another must-see event for baseball. In a 162-game stretch, having as many must-see events on the schedule, not just, hey, it's Sunday night baseball. These two teams are the teams we got for you. There's no other games on the schedule. This is it. Having something stand alone as an event like that, something you select the team like hockey does for the Winter Classic every year. Now the Field of Dreams game and the Hall of Fame game would be a very nice touch to that if they did a Doubleday Field game. Just something to kind of keep in mind if you're a fan of baseball. Let us know in the comment section. Would you watch something like that? Have your team play at Doubleday Field? Would that be something of interest to see Hall of Famers in attendance after the Hall of Fame induction ceremony? That would be amazing. It'd be two very special teams that got selected every year. I mean, just the prestige that would come along with playing that, having that group of players watch you play. You may never get a lick at being a Hall of Famer in your career. You may never even play enough time to get on the ballot for the Hall of Fame. But for one game, you were on a team that played at Doubleday Field in front of nothing but Hall of Famers. That would be amazing. Just saying. I think it's August 11th is the Field of Dreams game this year. I think it's August 11th, somewhere in there. So far, your player of the game, Zach Wheeler. Rhys Hoskins from an offensive side of the ball has also played very well. JT Realmuto. But for me, the pitching of Wheeler, the way he's been able to work around his command issues in a couple of innings, still not give up the big hit, work around a little bit of trouble early, has been amazing. Naughton out there only threw one pitch to get out of the jam in the last half inning. Comes out to work the bottom of the 7th. 4-0 our score. Hoskins opened things up with a solo home run to left center field. Then later on, he hit a double off the left center field wall, about this far from being another home run. Nick Castellanos was able to drive him home after an out was recorded. JT Realmuto came in and knocked the cover off the ball for a 2-run home run. And that's where we stand, 4-0. 1-1 the count now. Ground ball up the middle, Gorman up with it on to first, and 1 out is recorded. Appreciate all of y'all for joining us. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, please do so. Would love to give y'all more content like this, some watch parties, talk about all different headlines from around the world of sports. Whether you're a fan of Philadelphia or the Cardinals, whether you're a fan of baseball entirely at all, hopefully you have a good time. Hopefully you're having fun with your family on Independence Weekend or your friends or doing something to enjoy your independence. Kyle Schwarber back up for the fourth time, 0 for 3. Has not had a good day at the plate. Curveball in there by Naughton, 0-1. Philly fanatic trying to excite the crowd, walking back and forth across the top of the dugout. That's a ball, 1-1. Batting average continued to drop for Schwarber after an 0 for 3 performance so far today. The pitch. That's a ball in the dirt and gets away from the catcher. Luckily, nobody is on, and it's 2-1 now the count. As we saw in the bottom of the sixth, Naughton was chomping at the bit to get in while it was still 2-0 anyway, as the fanatic really trying to get the crowd into it. But Naughton was a little amped up in the dugout or in the bullpen. You can tell he wanted to be in there. You could tell Wainwright was done. And then the Real Muto homer happened. And you kind of saw him just stare a hole through the back of the bullpen wall as he was not brought in. And then still wasn't brought in for another 2 batters afterward. And then finally, after another hit by, I want to say Herrera, they finally pulled him. 3-2 now the count. Schwarber gets it to full. Right down the middle, ground ball into the shift. And did the pitcher get there in time? He did. Goldschmidt made a diving stab at it, was unable to get there. But Gorman was able to back him up and make the throw onto first. As A-Rod has a conversation with Nelly, their newest guest. Again, kind of a Manning-style cast for the NFL, except now for baseball. Nelly was a Cardinal fan they showed in 2006, part of the crowd, and then he was throwing out the first pitch of a game in 2013. Baseball again, trying to appeal to a younger audience, offering the game in a different perspective. After getting 3 outs, looks like Naughton's night is done. 2 outs here in the 7th. Philly fanatic waving goodbye at the pitcher. I don't know why, because all he did was get out. I guess you're happy to see him go after he shut down the Phillies. I don't know. Pitching change for the Cardinals. Down 4-0 in the bottom of the 7th. As Nelly rolls right through the stop signs just like Ozzie Smith does. You can tell Kevin Connors and A-Rod are like, come on, man, we got to go to commercial break. It's kind of funny, actually. Looks like they're having some fun with the Philly fanatic. Looks like they're going to keep it there for the commercial break. What other events do you guys think the baseball could do or things they could do to improve the game for them? I think there's a lot of different ways to go about it. Looks like Naley is on to pitch for the Cardinals. Pitch clock seems to be one of the most popular. Robo-ump would be another. But as far as an event, Hall of Fame game would be nice. I've never really liked the way they've done the All-Star event. It's never been the same since I was a kid. And of course, every generation says that, but it really hasn't. Having it mean something for the postseason also doesn't make sense. Why play 162 games just to have it mean nothing in the World Series? I don't know. That part doesn't make sense to me either. Offering more money to players to allow for the winning team to get a higher salary and the losing team to get less makes some sense, But these players, for the most part, make really high salaries, so you can't invest too much money in one game as far as a salary incentive. There's not a lot of real options to kind of solve it. So I'm kind of curious what y'all's thoughts are. What would you do to solve the All-Star game? Would you still have the home run derby? Would you keep the format? They've adjusted that format, I don't know, at least 6 times since I was a kid. This year's Hall of Fame game I mentioned was August 11th. This year it's going to be between the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds. A lot of, or two teams with a lot of history. That ball is hammered straight to left fielder, though. One pitch, one out, yet again out of the bullpen for the Cardinals. Nice job there. And it looks like we're going to have Nelson out of the bullpen for the Philadelphia Phillies. Yep. Looks like we're going to have a pitching change for them. Wheeler's night is done. Fireworks are starting to be set off around us as the sun is finally starting to set here in Texas. Dark enough to where you can finally see the different colors of all the fireworks. Hope you guys are safe with all your fireworks out there. Don't need to see any headlines of firework mishaps. Always safety first. No pretty color in the sky is worth any injury. Just kind of going over some of the other headlines from around the NBA over the last couple of days with the holiday kind of slowing things down. Malcolm Brogdon was traded to the Boston Celtics. He's one of the better point guards. He started his career with the Milwaukee Bucks, became kind of a defender. He took over the point guard position for Eric Bledsoe, who was out for injury his rookie season, and I believe he won the Rookie of the Year that year. Brogdon, of course, was not thought of much for his offensive game, but he was a 50-40-90 guy by the time his career, or by the time his contract was over with Milwaukee. There are very few players who can shoot 50% from two, 40% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. He then did a sign and trade deal with the Indiana Pacers. He recently re-upped on a 2-year contract extension with them as well. He has missed some time over the last couple of years due to injury, but he's still one of the better players in the NBA as far as a point guard is concerned. He's still not thought of as one of the top 10 guys, though, but in my opinion, the abilities that he has as far as shooting, consistency, that kind of thing, elevate him a little bit more for me. The detractor, of course, would be the injury issues that he's had. We'll see if he can avoid those soft tissue injuries going forward with the Boston Celtics. The interesting news, of course, out of there was that the Boston Celtics said that he was going to be a bench player for them. I don't know about that because Boston needs a point guard on that team in the worst way. They finally get a good one, and they say he's not going to start. I know they want to have a taller, bigger lineup on the floor, and Marcus Smart at the point allows them to do that, but he's not a point guard. That offense is a little bit more stagnant when he's on the floor. Having a guy that can facilitate the ball a little bit better, like a Malcolm Brogdon, and having it as a three-pronged attack offensively with Brogdon, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown would be a lot more interesting and a lot better, more efficient team on offense. And you'd still have a great bench. You just move one player to the bench, and you still got the same kind of carousel. But having better point guard play in that starting lineup would matter greatly to a team like Boston. They did finish a couple of games short of a championship, so who knows? Maybe they have the right line of thought, thinking that just trading for him and improving that bench is enough. I don't know. But strike one there for Nelson as he comes in for Zach Wheeler out of the pen. I think Wheeler pitched through 108 pitches today, broke that 100-pitch plateau again. 7 quality scoreless innings for him. Connor Capel in there, an 167 batting average, 0 for 2 on the day. One and one. Nelson set and the pitch. That one looked like I don't know if that was a two-seamer. Looked like a two-seamer anyway. Fouled away by Capel. Only game of the night right now is the Philadelphia Phillies and the St. Louis Cardinals. That pitch is popped up medium center field. Herrera is there, calls off Castellanos. Two offensive bats out there in the outfield. Herrera's got a lot of range to cover out there. That's why the Phillies defense hasn't been great. Pitching staff has not had the benefit of a great defense behind him with Philadelphia's offense. That's why early in the year, when the offense wasn't performing as well as it has over the last, let's say, 3-4 weeks with Thompson as the new manager, that poor defense was hurting a little bit more than it would normally. But right now, a shutout being tossed by the Phillies. Strike one there. Got him to chase. Good movement on that pitch by Nelson. Was not a competitive pitch, but enough to entice the St. Louis catcher to swing at it. A 183 average for him. He does have he's 0 for 2 on the day. He does not have a hit today. There's another chase right there, but they don't call it that time. Okay. I thought he clearly went around. Philadelphia Phillies bench is absolutely livid with that call. I mean, he went around full and brought it back. Yeah, that wasn't close. That was a 75% swing, not a 50%. Nelson on the mound is like, okay. That pitch misses upstairs, and it's 2-1. Mark Appel on the bench there hollering at the first base umpire going, what are you looking at? That pitch in the dirt in the other batter's box, and he's struggling with command here. 3-1. Honestly, should be a 4-pitch walk, but he was able to at least entice one swing. Wow. Rockies beat the Diamondbacks today 6-5. I just read some of the notes on that game. C.J. Cron plays for the Rockies, hit 2 3-run home runs in the 6th and 8th inning. Ouch. For a team that's struggling to win games in the Diamondbacks, you can kind of see why they're losing those games now. First one you give up, sure, that's on me. The second one, that's on you. I don't know the situation in the game, but you got to do better than giving up back-to-back home runs to the same guy. Ouch. Robbie Ray for the Mariners today had a season-high 12 strikeouts, finally finding some of that effectiveness that he found with the Toronto Blue Jays last year. Todd Edman is in there. Runner on first. 0-1 is the count. And that was interesting. Edman called a time at the very last second, yet the pitcher still threw the ball anyway, showing the Nelly horrible first pitch that bounced and actually hit some people behind home plate as he was throwing out the first pitch before a game a few years back. Ground ball smothered. Nice play by Nelson to get over there and record the out. 2 away. Runner does move to second. Nice diving stop there by Hoskins. Trying to make himself a candidate for player of the game, but for me it's still Zach Wheeler. Great defensive work there, though. Home run and double today by Rhys Hoskins. Donovan in there. Takes a strike right down the middle, 97-mile-an-hour heater. 0-1 the count. 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. Cardinals running out of opportunities to try to get back in this one. 4 outs away from a Phillies victory here. Fouls that one off. 0-2 now the count. Nelson gets ahead. If Donovan is able to reach, they will have Paul Goldschmidt followed by Nolan Arenado if they can keep this inning going. St. Louis would love to have Donovan reach and then really have a chance with their 3 and 4 guys, hitters in their lineup to really get back in this game. Nelson, though, nice off-speed pitch on the inside corner, freezes Donovan, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. Great strikeout there by Nelson. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Phillies up 4-0. Other news and notes from around the NBA anyway. Kevin Huerter was traded by the Hawks after the Hawks acquired a new backcourt mate for Trae Young. They sent Huerter to the Sacramento Kings for a package that included 2024 first and a couple of younger players as well, Justin Holiday, and I forget the second piece in that deal. But mainly about that 2024 pick. Both of the players are expected to stay on the roster, though, as they continue to fill things out in Atlanta. The other piece of that DeJounte Murray deal, Josh Landale, that was acquired from the San Antonio Spurs, was sent to Phoenix for cash considerations. No news yet on the KD Kyrie Irving front. Looks like there's a new article out, actually. Let me just double check and make sure. Warriors supposedly are one of the half of the teams in the league that have at least checked on the Kevin Durant anyway. One of the reporters for ESPN said that an offer of Wiggins, Poole, Kuminga, and Wiseman would make sense, but they would not be able to acquire Wiggins because they just traded for Ben Simmons. But that would be the hefty contract that they would have to move out in order to take on the contract of a Kevin Durant. That in order for the Nets to be able to accept that package, they'd also have to trade Ben Simmons. But as I've mentioned multiple times, I don't understand the value some people have are in a guy like Ben Simmons. If they're unable to find a trade partner for Ben Simmons, they'd have to include either Klay Thompson or Draymond Green. We saw how things worked out with Draymond Green and KD last time. They just kind of had enough of each other by the end of that tenure. So maybe a Draymond Green involvement there would make sense, at least from a financial and future perspective if you're a Warriors fan. But if you're a Warriors fan, Draymond Green is kind of heartbeat of that team. How much of that soul does he take out of there if he goes somewhere else? Castellanos swinging and a miss at that ball in the dirt. 0-1. Sources around the NBA are saying that they absolutely want an all-star caliber talent back in any deal, not future all-star, but actual all-star talent right now. Nothing is close at the moment, according to the New York Post. Sixers were mentioned as a team that had interest in Kyrie, but that would require parting with James Harden or moving Tobias Harris, and they don't really want to reunite Irving with Harden, as that did not work out for the best in Brooklyn. More sources saying that there's no appetite for Irving in Philadelphia. One of the trusted reporters for the Dallas Mavericks isn't convinced that an acquisition of Kyrie Irving makes sense because it's going to require a desperate team to do it, and Dallas, they say, isn't desperate enough yet. So we'll see. Mark Stein apparently believes Kyrie Irving is destined to end up with the Lakers. Some of these moves you've seen over the past few years of like players wanting to be traded. Anthony Davis was wanting to be traded and traded to LA. They find their way to get to their preferred destination, and it may cost the other team a little bit more to get it done. We saw that the New Orleans Pelicans were willing to trade just about everything, or required everything of value from the Lakers in order to get the deal done, except for Kyle Kuzma. That was the one piece that the Lakers opted to keep. They got Hart, Ingram, Ball, all of those picks, and Julius Randle, I believe. Or Julius Randle's already on the team, my bad. But that kind of a deal is what it's going to end up taking in order to get a player of his caliber. Bottom of the eighth, 2-2, or excuse me, 4-0 is the score. Philadelphia on top. 2-2 is the count to Nick Castellanos. That pitch goes to the backstop. It's now 3-2. Hope you guys are enjoying your Independence weekend. Taking some time at the moment, waiting for the next pitch. The set and the pitch. Castellanos loads up in another flare down the right field line, and the right fielder is there again, just on the edge of fair territory, and makes the play. Tip of the cap by the pitcher to his right fielder for making that catch. Castellanos seems to have been trying to go the other way a lot with the ball in today's game. The one time he did pull the ball, he was able to get a base hit and score a run. Something might be there. Maybe work with the hitting coach and try to get your head out of the process and just play the game again. That contract seems to be giving him a lot of worry. Hall flares the ball to left field, and that ball will drop. Finally gets a base hit in today's game. A broken bat base hit, by the way. Shave that bat all the way down to the handle. Donovan couldn't race in fast enough and make the catch. Hall very, very happy, able to get a base hit without having to knock the ball over the fence to get it to be a base hit. Real Muto, another candidate for player of the game, 2 for 3 with a home run. That home run was a 2-run home run. He also threw out a base stealer in the game. Strike one there. Naley on the mound for St. Louis, hoping for a double play ball so they can get back in the dugout with one last chance to try to get ahead and win the game. The set and the pitch. Fouled off. 0-2 now the count to Real Muto. Having a good game today. Had some struggles so far this year, though, at the plate. He has seemed to play a little bit better in the most recent games I've at least watched of him. The pitch. Well outside, ball one. Real Muto literally waves at that one as it goes by. 6 home runs now in the year for Real Muto. 31 RBIs. Adding to both of those totals in today's game. The pitch. Jams him up and in off the fists, and it fouls it off straight back to the screen. 1-2 the count. Naley set, and the pitch. Golfed that by Real Muto down the left field line. Donovan racing over. Will he have a room? No, that one is a good 15 rows back. Fooled the cameraman as well. Maybe the wind pushed it a little bit more, but that one was not close to being a hit. Schwarber upbeat despite a poor offensive night at the plate, jumping around in the dugout. 1-2 the count. This will be the 16th pitch now for Naley. Double play ball here to short. Oh my goodness. Wow. Double play ball to short. Flip onto second base. Second baseman took his eye off the ball after he snow coned it for like a split second, but it bounced off his glove and into right field. Not very far, but he kind of stood there defeated for a minute while the runner got up off the ground and took off for third. That's going to be an error on Gorman after not being able to come up with the catch. The error might actually go on Edman, but it shouldn't. It should go on Edman. That was not a difficult throw. I mean, it was right at eye level. He just didn't see the ball into the glove. And then he literally just stood there while Hall got up and ran on to third. Usually the Cardinals can be counted on for really good defense, but that was not it. Gorman staring off into the heavens going, what did I just do? That should have ended the inning right there. Vierling comes on as a pinch runner now for Hall. Odd choice because he's only 90 feet away. I would have understood it if he was still on first base, because then you could actually steal second base and try to force across another run. Bohm is going to be the next hitter, but that should have been the end of the inning right there. If you're a Cardinals fan, you don't like to see that. One of the few things you've been able to rest your hat on for decades has been great defense. Not to say you can never make an error, but that was a costly one right there. We'll see if anything comes of it. Mike Maddox came out to kind of see if Naley can kind of shut the door here. 16 pitches now in the inning. First and third, one out. Bohm slashes one down the first base line, foul. 0-1 the count. 4-0 our score. The scoring in the game. Rhys Hoskins opened things up, I believe, in the fourth inning anyway, with a one-run or with a solo shot anyway. In the fifth, he came back and hit a double off the wall, or fifth or sixth anyway, and then was given a chance to come around and score on the single by Nick Castellanos. And then we had the two-run home run, of course, by JT Realmuto. Zach Wheeler, 7 shutout innings today for Philadelphia. On the other side, Wainwright, the wheels just fell off the bus in the sixth. There's a 1-0 game going into the sixth. And then, of course, you heard about the scoring there. And that's your game summary. Another foul ball there by Bohm, and it's 0-2. Here's the pitch. Down low. Realmuto moves on to second base. Not sure if you call that defensive indifference, as I don't think the Cardinals wanted to give up that base, but that ball was in the dirt, and they give it up anyway. Double play ball is no longer in effect. Infield is in, trying to cut down the run at the plate and keep it a 4-run game. I'm sure St. Louis would love a strikeout as well. That pitch is in the dirt as well in the other batter's box. 2-2. Thank you guys for joining us again here on Independence Weekend. Appreciate all of you for subscribing. Really means a lot to us. Gained a lot of you over the past week or two since we got the studio up and running again with our change in address and all that kind of thing, moving locations, getting things up and running. It took a while to finally get the things the way we wanted them. And Bohm strikeout there on a pitch that was a good foot inside. Swing and a miss. That pitch just kept riding in and in and in and in and in. Unable to make contact and stay alive. Bohm's had a tough night at the plate, a couple of strikeouts. That one, at least, he didn't get shortchanged on. Herrera digs in and takes a strike down the middle. Runners again on second and third. Philadelphia looking for a couple of insurance runs just in case things get a little hairy in the ninth. Mike Maddox watching his pitcher closely. That pitch misses by a good 3 inches outside. 1-1 the count to Odubel Herrera. 1 for 3 in the game. His hit in the bottom of the sixth anyway was the last hit that Wainwright gave up and chased him from the game, as I think St. Louis gave him a way too long of a leash. Odubel Herrera up and in, jammed, little roller down the third base line, well foul. Ball girl gives it to a young fan. 1-2 the count now. Naley up to 24 pitches now. And the pitch, swing and a miss in the dirt. Herrera chased that one, and that's a strikeout. Naley gets him out of the jam there after the error on Gorman. And we go to the ninth. Philadelphia in front 4-0. Appreciate all you guys joining us on Independence Weekend. Tomorrow we're going to try to do a few more live streams. We may even do the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. We do have a request for us to do a live stream on that. We'll see what time it is and see if we can get it to you. Tomorrow, I'm going to put out a few more videos the next 24 hours over the NBA free agency. A lot of moves have been made by a number of different teams. We've talked about them a lot in the lives that we've done, but I'd like to put out some individual videos on each one of them as well. So we'll see what ends up happening. But a lot of moves that have been made, and still the biggest one out there to be made of Kevin Durant being traded. That's probably going to happen within the next few weeks, according to Shams. In addition to Kyrie Irving being moved, there's really 3 teams in the mix, 2 based on reports from a number of different reporters, that the Sixers' interest was mainly just checking in to see what's what on the Kyrie Irving sweepstakes. The sweepstakes really come down to 2 teams. The LA Lakers are absolutely desperate to acquire another star to place next to LeBron James, and they don't really have the assets to be able to acquire a star in any other situation. So getting an asset that has very diminished value in Kyrie Irving, if they can get him to perform anything better than Russell Westbrook at this point, is a plus for them. The question is, are they willing to really mortgage their future to be able to do so? A 2027 first-round pick obviously wasn't enough to entice the Brooklyn Nets earlier. Will they include another first-round pick to be able to get it done? Or will a team like the Dallas Mavericks come in, even though Brad Townsend says they're not desperate enough to take on the risk of a player like Kyrie Irving? A player like that in a contract year needs to put up numbers. So at least for next year, as a pure rental, he would be a great fit. Plus, a trade like that could clear up some of the long-term money issues that the Mavericks have on their books. Maybe a Davis Bertans, Spencer Dinwiddie stack, a Josh Green out, and a first-round pick attached. Maybe a 2025 first-round pick. Rotation pieces to keep the Nets competitive would be a lot better of a deal than, say, Westbrook and an unprotected 2027 pick. Something like that might appeal a little bit more to the Brooklyn Nets. They could eventually turn around and flip Dinwiddie. If Green becomes anything in the NBA, maybe that'll help them out as well. But that's kind of where things stand there. Looks like we're getting back from commercial break anyway. But those are kind of your big headlines to watch around the NBA over the next week or two. I expect this to be resolved, at least by the MLB trade deadline. I don't think that's going to go that far, but might even be in time for the NHL free agency to begin on the 13th. Looks like the Phillies are going to go with, I believe, their closer. I think Corey Knebel is their closer. He was or has been in the past. I haven't paid too much attention to Phillies baseball. Don't know if he's just a late inning setup guy or their closer, but neither event, a very effective pitcher coming out of the pen for them. Ball one. Up and in. Thank you guys for joining us. Got 9 of you with us right now. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We really like putting out this content for you, and we'd like to do more of it. Just let us know what you like, and we'll try to do more of that content. Or if there's something we're not doing that you want to see us do more of, you know, if you're a really big hockey fan, you want to see us do more hockey content, then tell us that. Let us know that you want to hear it, and we'll be happy to produce that content for you. Knebel finally gets one to go over. It's now 2-1, 96-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside corner to Goldschmidt. 3-4-5 guys for St. Louis, as this is the last chance for them to get back in the game. And this will be the last time I mention that Goldschmidt is an MVP candidate. That rolls over the pitch. Foul. It's now 2-2. As I mentioned, though, his numbers are very different home and road. Sometimes players just have their season go that way. They're a lot more comfortable at home, don't have to deal with the aggravation and the headaches of the crowd and different environments and hotels and that kind of a thing when you're the road team. Those are issues you have. Fireworks being shot off in the distance in Philadelphia. Goldschmidt set the pitch. Goldschmidt, little dribbler out to second, on to first, one away. Arenado due up next. Knebel able to shut down Goldschmidt there. Arenado came over a couple of years ago in a trade with the Colorado Rockies. Rockies have been known to send a couple of players over their time to the St. Louis Cardinals. Matt Holliday comes to mind. Carlos Gonzalez at the very end of his time with the Colorado Rockies as well was shipped over to St. Louis, I believe. Arenado pounds that one into the dirt, unhappy with himself for missing that pitch. He got one to hit and kind of has a big old grimace on his face. I guess you'll call it a grimace. Weird look on his face anyway. 0-2 the count. Knebel ahead of the hitter again. Arenado ready. Knebel sets and the pitch. Strike three. Absolutely twisted Arenado into the ground. Arenado's like, how did I not make contact with that? But he was swinging to put that ball in Omaha and missed it by a mile. 2 outs now. Beautiful curveball. I'm not kidding. He literally twisted Arenado. Remember Adrian Beltre sometimes would drop to a knee. He said it was for power, just to kind of get himself underneath the ball, launch angle and that kind of thing. That was completely unintentional, just corkscrewed himself down to a knee. Knebel kind of tumbles off the mound there. Ball one. Gorman was the one who committed the error of the last half inning. We'll see if he can redeem himself here in the top of the ninth. 2 outs here. 1-0 the count now. After that pitch was wide for a ball. Up and in. Swings at a pitch off the plate. 1-1 now the count. Philadelphia starting to make some noise, get behind their team. They can sense a victory. The crowd starting to be urged to their feet. The pitch, swing and a miss, 97 miles an hour on the outside corner. Knebel reaching back for a little more. Now the entire crowd, looks like a sellout crowd, rises to their feet. Philadelphia 4, St. Louis nothing. Last hope here in the top of the ninth for the Cardinals. Knebel set and the pitch. Ooh, is able to lay off that one. 98-mile-an-hour heater up and away. 2-2 now the count. As the crowd will reach a crescendo just before the pitch here in just a moment. The set. Knebel looks like probably to throw the same pitch again. The pitch, nope, it's a curveball, and he's not even close. Great pitch there. Knebel shuts things down. The light show begins for the Philadelphia Phillies. 4-0 shutout. Zach Wheeler, your player of the game. 7 shutout innings. Struggled with location at times, but was dominant through all 7 innings. Wainwright, the losing pitcher, 5 2/3, gave up all 4. All 4 of those runs were earned. Rhys Hoskins opened things up with a home run in the 4th inning, excuse me. In the 6th inning, in a 1-0 game, 3 runs came across for Philadelphia. Hoskins hit a double off the wall. He was driven in by Castellanos on his lone hit of the day on a base hit to left field. Hoskins came around to score. And then a 2-run home run by Real Muto was the scoring in the game. And then Knebel came in, shut things down here in the 9th, 4-0 shutout, and Philadelphia moves to 4 games above 500 at 42-38. Thank you guys again for joining us here at the Upside. We appreciate you joining our live stream. As I said, we'll try to do a couple more tomorrow, maybe even do the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Let y'all enjoy the hot dog eating contest without seeing all the gross stuff that comes along with it. But let us know if that's something you want to see. Shoot me a comment in the video. Let me know if that's some content you want to see. Let us know which game you want us to do a live stream of tomorrow. We'll try to see how many of those comments we get overnight and see which game we end up trying to do. We appreciate all the interactions we've had with all of our live streams over the past few days. Thank you guys for joining our community. And as I said, we're going to do some live streams tomorrow. So let us know which game you want us to do, and we'll see what we can do. Shoot me a message, shoot the message in the chat, something. That way we can hear from you, and we'll see if we can do that game. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember to subscribe to The Upside if you haven't already, and stay tuned to any of your favorite sport team in the NHL, MLB, NBA, and the NFL. Thank you guys, and y'all have a nice night.